Minister of Defense says the Easter Sunday bombings that killed almost 300 people were an act of revenge by a local radical Islamist group. From Negombo, Sri Lanka, correspondent Ivan Watson describes the group's suspected motive.
They carried out their attacks as retaliation for last month's mass murder and shooting in 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand.
The Sri Lankan government is currently tightening security measures. The police service of Northern Ireland says it has arrested a woman from an Irish Republican Army splinter group in connection with the slaying of journalist Lyra McKee, who was reporting on rioting in Londonderry. The deadline is 5 p.m. Eastern Time today for the IRS to turn over President Trump's tax returns to a House committee. Oil prices soaring this morning to their highest level since October after the Trump administration yesterday said it would soon impose sanctions on all buyers of Iranian oil. U.S. stock futures slipped a bit overnight after yesterday's mixed close. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Derby Mattress. No dancing animals, no gimmicks. Your locally owned hometown mattress store at 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker, KQAM, for this morning. Sunny and 67, winds near 25 miles an hour, clear and 45 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny up to 78, winds again near 25 miles an hour, mostly clear and 56 for Saturday night, winds up to 20 miles an hour. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker, AM 1480 and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
At 6:06, it's currently 54 degrees.
For the latest KQAM giveaways and promotions, just visit us online at kqamradio.com. It's time for Reason.
Conservatives are not the anti-environmentalists. We're the conservationists. We're common sense environmentalists. We love commonsensical ways to actually address these things rather than doing it in the political fashion of, hey, look at this. We shook up the system for environmentalism. We're the ones that when we hunt something, we use every bit of the animal. We like not having three-eyed fish in the lake when we go fishing. We're the conservationists.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Oh, we are officially back. We are ready to rock and roll. And welcome into the Voice of Reason, our number one, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas. What's happening? It's great to be back with you. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK. It was great to have a day off or a couple of days off and travel, do the thing. And now we're back at it, ready to rock and roll. I know it's a Tuesday morning, but what the heck? Let's get you going for a Monday. What do you say? We're starting off the week. We appreciate what Jim Price did, filling in for the program as he did yesterday. And now let's start off your week the way we do each and every week. Come on.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Hey, there it is. 316-721-8255. 316-721-TALK. If you want to join in, it's great to have you along for the ride today, either on the radio, KQAM, AM, and FM, on YouTube. Go to youtube.com. Find KQAM Radio. Subscribe to it. Watch us live as you can each and every day. We appreciate that very much. Welcome in 316-721-8255. What a fun weekend it was. Hope everybody had a great, wonderful Easter. It was a great Easter. Myself, we got to enjoy the family. We got to see family that we haven't seen in a while. Got to see my brother, which I haven't seen in a very long time as well, as he is rocking it in Colorado. My parents there, they went back to Ohio, so I did not see them. But my wife's parents, my in-laws, and we got to visit them. And it was such a great visit in a way just to get out for a little bit. Now, I do have the update, and we will talk about it and have some fun with it coming up in a little bit later on the program about the marijuana thing, as we did go out there during the 420 weekend. So we will have some fun with that, and we'll talk about that probably in the 8 o'clock hour. But it was a great visit, and it was definitely needed. And got to go to the old church that I used to go to in high school, as I was part of the youth group out there and led a lot of the youth group stuff, and used to sing at that church with the choir for Easter and for Christmas big performances that we would do. And it was a lot of fun. So we actually got to go back to the church and got to see everybody there, and it was a great time. It was definitely needed, and something that I don't do very often. So it was a lot of fun. I will say that it was sad and devastating when I heard something like what happened in Sri Lanka. And as you know, we've talked a little bit about this before, but I traveled to Sri Lanka for missions working for the tsunami relief back in 2005. And it was sad that it was right in the same town that we worked in, that Colombo, in that area, which is the capital of Sri Lanka, and those terrorist attacks and bombings. So that was not the best news that I heard. And the fact that it happened during the Easter weekend, and as they were going into their Easter celebrations and services, and the bombings happened. What are they up to now? 280, 290 bombing or deaths in Sri Lanka. It's sad. It's really devastating. So even though we try and take a day off, it really just shows that the fight never ends. And no matter what we do, we can never we can never stop. We can never fight. We can never give up. We can never walk away. We can never just throw our hands up and say whatever. That we always have to fight and be aware, because that is a very devastating thing that happened, and you never know when it could happen next. And I guess they're saying now that it was an outside force, some type of group from outside of the country that caused these bombings. Everybody concerned because there was like a 30-year civil war in Sri Lanka. The civil war was going on while I was there back in 2005. I think it ended like 2013-ish. So it was long in coming, but now everybody's all up in arms again. And that's a scary thought again, is the Civil War going to flare back up? What's going to happen? When we were there and we were trying to do the missions work and not only do the physical labor, trying to do the cleanup from the tsunami, but also try and help individuals and do the Christianity thing and go with the missions work and all that sort of stuff. When we were there, it was very difficult to get into certain communities. Some communities didn't want us in any way, shape, or form. And with the Civil War going on, we had to be careful at different places that we could go. And we did stay, actually, at one of those hotels, I believe, that was bombed, which, again, you're just like, whoa, I was there. That's crazy. So thoughts and prayers to everybody out there. That's a really sad and scary place to be in. On the home front, the politics never seem to end, do they? You try and take some time off. You try to actually enjoy, and the politics just go crazy as we have the impeachment process being talked about at the federal level, which I think is scary and sad and stupid all at the same time. Good for you. Not sure why you want to start the impeachment process after something like saying there is absolutely no collusion in any way, shape, or form with President Donald Trump and the Russians. So that must constitute as, now you tried to obstruct justice, which I don't know how you can obstruct that which does not exist. The deep philosophical discussion of the day, right? It's the Deep Thoughts with Andy.
Deep Thoughts with Andy.
Yeah, there you go. Deep Thoughts. There we go. So you can obstruct something, apparently. It's like one of those, if the tree falls in the woods and no one's there to see it, does it actually make a sound? That's the deep thought of the day. If there's nothing to obstruct and you try to obstruct it, can you really obstruct it if it doesn't really exist? That's the deep thought of the day. So they're moving forward with the impeachment process, apparently trying. Nancy Pelosi trying to stop that is the headline on Drudge Report. Leadership balks on impeachment. So that's cute. That's kind of nice. We have the presidential candidates like Mayor Pete Buttigieg that's saying that we need to have a peace treaty between the LGBTQ community and Chick-fil-A, which is hysterical. As you know, Chick-fil-A is saying that they stand on the Christian values, and now they're getting booted out of different airports because that's what people wanted. And now Buttigieg, trying to be the nice presidential type of individual. Is this really what we want, by the way? I do have to ask. I know that we're tired of the controversy, tired of the radical one side or the other, tired of, one side bickering about the other side and the other side bickering about the other side and going back and forth. And I know people supposedly are tired of this, but is this the way to handle it? With someone like Mayor Pete Buttigieg saying, can't we all just get along? And can't we just, find a peace treaty between the LGBTQ community and like someone like Chick-fil-A? And can't we just work together? What kind of peace treaty do you want? I'm curious, because all that Chick-fil-A has said is we support Christian values. And people lose their minds, and the LGBTQ community gets angry and then tries to banish them because how dare you have a different belief than me? You're not allowed to do that. We will silence you. That's the matter of fact of the situation. So now we have to have a peace treaty, so we need to compromise like usual. We just stand firm and say we just believe this. We don't care what you do. We just believe this. That's our value. That's what we believe, and that's what we do. We just believe this. And because of that, now we have to say, okay, now we'll be open to compromising what our belief is, just to try and settle you, so that way you can stop being angry at me because you're angry at me for having a different belief than you. So now, again, like usual, the conservative mindset, the conservative philosophy, the conservative morality, we now have to shift the pendulum farther for the compromise to find that middle ground because we say this is what we believe in, and that's apparently wrong, and we're not allowed to do that. And this seems to be the trend when it comes to a lot of conservative belief of, the lower taxes and the idea of like not increasing size of government and not liking social programs and not liking free quote unquote goodies from the government and not liking the government regulate things day in and day out and everyday part of our lives. And we say that's not right. And then they say, no, we want to go as far as we can over here. And now you have to compromise and come to the middle. So we're still getting 40% of what we wanted, being on the progressive end. And us over here, we end up having to slide. Andy, times change, right? Times change. Kind of a weird position to be in. So apparently now Mayor Pete Buttigieg, trying to be the presidential, let's unite, let's rally together, being the progressive socialist that he is now getting kudos points for people saying, oh, great, he wants to compromise. He wants to find that happy medium and get everybody together and find some kind of peace treaty between Chick-fil-A and the LGBTQ community. Why would we have to do that? Because we're allowed to say this is what we believe in. Not that we don't like what's going on over there. They didn't even say that. Just this is our belief. The pro. Remember, you gotta look at the wording again. It's not just always the negative. We don't like you. We don't like you. We don't like you. We're saying the positive. This is me. This is what I'm doing. This is what I believe in. This is what I'm okay with. And you're allowed to do that. But now apparently that is seen as this is what I believe in personally. Now is an attack on somebody else of how dare you believe that way because I don't like that. Now I'm very offended. So now you have to change your ways so you can compromise with me and we can shift farther to the left. I'm not okay with that. That's kind of crazy. So that's going on, and that's, of course, happening during the Easter weekend, which I think is a little sad in itself as well. And then we see the issue with the vigilantes down on the border. And I want to spend some time on that here in just a bit with the vigilantes down at the border trying to round up illegal aliens and hold them for ICE. I don't see personally a problem with that. Now, the individual that did get arrested, he got arrested for different reasons, and that's why that's not okay. But I still don't see a reason if, the law enforcement's not capable of doing what they can because they're kind of capped out on their potential, then why the U.S. citizens do not have the right to step in and actually take care of this. That's the way things used to be. It's the way things used to actually happen, but oh, how times have changed. So we got a lot to get to. We do have some updates here from the state of Kansas as well with our legislative update. Governor Kelly vetoing a bill and then not signing it, but allowing it to by default go into effect. So we'll talk about some of that today. We have Bryan Frye, Wichita City Council member, coming on the program. As usual, we also have an update with just an update, a flat-out update, as we had a contributor do an interview for me, which I appreciate as I was gone yesterday and didn't get a chance to do it, but do an update for Medicare and what Medicare is going to look like. So anybody on Medicare, you're going to want to hear it because there's changes coming to the system. So we'll play that interview here in just a little bit. It's about 7 minutes long. We'll do that probably in the 8 o'clock hour. Plus, I do want to get into the trip to Colorado a little bit, as it was a very interesting trip, and as I kind of joked about before, the 420 thing and the 420 weekend, which it was crazy. I don't know if you saw the video, but I did make a video when we got to Denver on Friday at a dispensary, and I walked in and I did scout it out and check it all out. Now, I did not purchase anything, come on, but I did look at it, I did ask questions, and I went in as a prospective customer trying to figure it out, and it was very interesting. It was a really interesting process that they have for this. So I will talk about that, and we'll get your thoughts on it. Plus, I have a little gift that I have to show on the camera, so and we'll probably do it here in the next segment in the 8 o'clock hour as well. So jump on YouTube so you can see this. But my brother gave me something while we were out there, and as I saw it, I told him I needed to put this in my studio because this is the true representation of what Republicans are like in Colorado and what conservatives are really turning out to be here in the state of Kansas. So you're not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to jump on YouTube, go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio, and we'll have some fun with that one. So we have lots to get to, statewide issues here in Kansas. I want to talk about some state issues in Colorado as well, as I noticed some really, really interesting things out there that if they do take effect, and some of them already are taking effect, that they could potentially start bleeding into Kansas. I mean, we are kind of neighbors. So that could potentially bleed into us here as well. So we'll talk about some of that as well. Big stuff going on today. 316-721-8255. Your phone calls as well. I do want to hear from you. I do appreciate Jim Price filling in for the show yesterday. Did a great job. I heard a little bit of the program as we were beginning our travels in the morning. So I appreciate that, and we'll get him to fill in again whenever we take some time off, and he's able to fill into the seats. So I want to hear from you today, 316-721-8255 on a Tuesday. I know it's my Monday now that I got to get back into the swing of things, but it's your Tuesday, so let you get up and going here as we usually do. 316-721-8255. Let's take a phone call before a break here, shall we? Line number 1. Good morning. Who's this?
This is Eddie.
Hey, good morning, Eddie. How are you, sir?
Hey, did you have one of those marijuana cheeseburgers by any chance while you were up there?
I did not go. I don't know what location the Carl's Jr. was at for their CBD 420 burger. I did not go to that. However, it was on the local news in Colorado, and there were apparently they sold out of it midway through the day because there were so many people that tried to get it, because you also got a T-shirt with it saying that you got the 420 burger from Carl's Jr., and there were people apparently that they had interviewed that came all the way from New York to drive just to Denver to go buy a CBD burger on 420.
Oh, goodness sake.
Yes. So, I hibernated up in the mountains during 420 day on actual Saturday. We went up and visited the family, and we just hibernated. We did not go anywhere or do anything because the 420, here's the thing. They were promoting, and I was listening to the radio stations out there and some of my old favorite stations that I used to enjoy. They were having their big 420 festivals all over town, like actual sanctioned with the city, and parties and inflatables and big bands and everything going on. The 420 festivals were going on all over Denver, and I said, you know what? Not even going to get into that. So we hibernated in the mountains. We stayed in our little bunker, and we just rode it out.
Well, that's beautiful. Andy, my birthday's 420. Why in the hell does everything have to happen on 420?
That's a good question.
Seriously.
Well, happy belated birthday. I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know why 420 needs to be as it is, but now that I'm telling you, now that the cat's out of the box, it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get bigger. I heard, and here's the crazy part: driving on Friday, I was seeing just outside of Wichita here, as we were getting into like Newton, we were seeing the sign saying "Get high, drive high, get a DUI." Here in Wichita. Apparently, from what I heard, they were doing checkpoints throughout Wichita here on Saturday for DUIs on 420 if people were driving high. So even just before you walk out of Wichita, we were seeing the signs on the highway saying "Drive high, get a DUI" in preparedness of 420. That's going on here. Now, just imagine what it was like back in Colorado where everybody's doing it.
Oh, good gracious. Andy, life is a little old roller coaster right now, and it's going way up and way down and around and around. We live in the most god-awful, crazy world right now. You realize that, sir?
Yeah. I tell you what, I guess it's job, security here is there's never a dull moment and something not to talk about because it is, it's weird. I don't get it. I don't get the fascination with the whole 420 thing, how the world's changing so drastically right now. I just don't get it. But and here's the thing, they were doing random checkpoints around the Colorado border, which I don't necessarily appreciate because, just because everybody else is doing it and I'm not means that now they're going to try and stop. Now, I didn't get stopped, but I did see a lot of people getting stopped as they were doing random checks of vehicles for marijuana trying to cross the border sort of thing. So, of course, the people that are doing bad things and breaking the law are now making everybody else suffer of it because, hey, you know what? We got to do random checkpoints now.
Well, I'll be darned. Hey, did you know that your old radio station, KOA, has a simulcasting FM? Full power FM.
It does, yeah. I was listening to KOA to a lot of the time,
94.1.
Absolutely, and I didn't tune into the FM, but I did because I love the traditional 850 KOA. But I did listen to that, and I did hear they had their FM as we do now. So that's really cool. I'm really glad that they're doing well. And that, tell you what, that 50,000 watt out of Denver, they really blast it. We were listening to that almost to Colby, Kansas, when we were driving back yesterday. We were able to catch 850 as we were driving back. So that was kind of fun.
Do you realize back when I was in high school that KOA 850, that was back when there was, the skies were clear of a lot of excessive waves. And I could listen to KOA every night, and I remember they had the best rock and roll music.
I love it. All right.
Long time. Anyway, Andy, it's good that I'm glad you and your family are back safe. And by the way, one of these days you need to get into the fact that the Yankees removed Kate Smith's statue. That's
Yeah.
the biggest crock I've ever heard in my entire life.
Hey, welcome to the 21st century, apparently, 2019, where everything's offensive and we can start taking down statues because of, the songs that someone sang or, even Civil War monuments or whatever, because, hey, we hate history, and if it had anything that is offensive to anybody where they see it as potentially offensive, then we're going to completely tear it down and forget that it ever happened. So you're right. We live in sad times, and it's something we need to start fighting and being aware of. Eddie, I appreciate it very much. We're late on a break, my friend, but great to be back, and I appreciate the kind words. And happy belated birthday, my friend. Happy belated. That's fantastic. Got to take a break. We have 25 minutes past the hour. We'll get your phone calls when we come back right here on The Voice of Reason on a Tuesday.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Ag News from Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Meade. Good morning. To deal with the pork industry emergency, the Pork Checkoff has a text alert service available to pig farmers. National Pork Board spokesperson Cindy Cunningham outlines the new system.
We do have this text alert service that would notify you, if you're signed up for it, in the event of a major industry crisis. You would be able to get information right away and know where to turn for accurate information dealing with that situation.
She says the text alert system is user-friendly.
To sign up for the pork industry text alert service, all you need to do is text pork crisis, and that's all one word, pork crisis, to 97296. Again, the number that you would text pork crisis to is 97296, and it'll ask you to opt in and walk you through several steps. It's really the same type service that you have for the schools in the area or for others who may have an alert service through a text system.
And a test has been scheduled.
We plan to test the Pork Checkoff text alert system this week. We want to make sure that pork producers who are signed up for the service know how the service works when it goes off and what to look for and what will happen on their phone. We also want to make sure that being prepared for any type of a crisis situation, that our alert system works. We've had this system in place for about 3 years now, and we have a number of producers who are already signed up for this alert service. We just want to make sure that all pork producers know that the service is out there free of charge, but with charges that may apply through their phone company. But it's a great way to get the latest information should there be a crisis in the pork industry.
Ag News from Mid-America Ag Network.
Here's some simple math for you. Chevy cars and trucks just cost less at Countryside Motors in Wellington. You want the best price on a Silverado in Kansas or Oklahoma? Check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Are you looking for that perfect SUV? They have the great selection of Buick Enclaves, Envisions, and Encores, again, at the best prices anywhere. Countryside Motors in Wellington. Folks, it's simple math. For the best prices on cars and trucks, check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Online at countrysidemotors.net. Simple math, best prices. Come on out to the country and save. Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas.
The Laundry Station in Wichita is Kansas' premier laundry services provider. The Laundry Station has machines for all of your needs in the Wichita area. In fact, the largest machine can handle 10 loads at a time. Imagine a laundry facility where you don't need change. The Laundry Station accepts Apple Pay, debit cards, and credit cards, and your quarters as well. The Laundry Station is conveniently located in the heart of Wichita, on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station, and online at thelaundrystationks.com. Have you noticed the number of box stores that sell bed mattresses is dwindling? Locked up, closed down, shuttered. I mean, of course, commission-paid salesmen who use a dancing sheep to try and lure you in. It's believable. There's a reason why people who dip their toes in the water of looking for bed mattresses end up buying a Derby mattress of Derby. Lower everyday prices than the box store sale prices. Every day. Derby Mattress, 105 South Baltimore in Derby.
Live every night. It's the Jim Bohannon Show, here on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Minutes past the hour, bottom of the hour news coming up in just a second. Boy, there's so many different directions we can go to on the show today, and I just don't know which way to go. When we come back, I will show you. I'll give you another minute here. Jump on the YouTube. Go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio. There is something that I need to show you physically here on the camera. I'll try to describe it for the radio listeners as well. So don't worry, we will do that. But it is kind of fun, and it's something that I collected in Colorado that my lovely brother gave to me. Him and his fiance, actually, they just bought a house together, and they found something that was in the house and didn't know what to do with it, so they felt like giving it to me, and I thought it was perfectly appropriate to put in my studio and have some fun with. So we shall, and it's perfect because Bryan Frye, Wichita City Council member, is coming in today, and I think he'll get a kick out of it as well. So we'll have some fun with that. When we come back, we got some national stories, some statewide stories, a lot of stuff happening very quickly in the state of Kansas. We'll try and stay on top of and get you up to date on right here on The Voice Reason on a Post Monday. Happy Tuesday. Good morning to you. Let's get it going.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
The Islamic State group is claiming responsibility for the Easter attacks in Sri Lanka that killed at least 321 people but offered no evidence. Sri Lankan officials have blamed a local Islamic extremist group for the attack, saying they were in retaliation for the murders at 2 mosques in New Zealand. Ivan Watson reports that would be an escalation.
There's some questions about this organization, National Tawhid Jamaat, which up until now had been linked with little more than some vandalism of Buddhist statues.
In Huntsville, Alabama, a Madison County Sheriff's deputy is on administrative leave this morning after posting a homophobic comment on Facebook about a gay teen who killed himself. California state legislators are considering a plan intended to encourage more banks to do business with marijuana companies, many of which have been shunned by thousands of financial institutions. Pre-market trading is mixed on Wall Street. Dow futures up 26 points. S&P and NASDAQ down a fraction. I'm Michael Toscano.
You're a small business owner, and there's nothing small about what you do. That's why Dell Small Business Technology Advisors give you trusted advice, one-on-one partnership, and tailored tech solutions, like computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage, networking, plus thousands of top-brand electronics, accessories, and software. No matter your technology needs, Dell is here to help your small business do big things. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with an advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
Lowe's knows you'll do it right to find the best savings this spring. We do it right too by giving you 11% back via Lowe's gift card rebate when you shop select Lowe's stores in your area. Hurry in now through Saturday, April 27th to take advantage of 11% back to use on future shopping trips. For all the spring projects heading your way, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com/11 rebate for participating stores and more details.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Tuesday. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has vetoed a measure that would have required abortion providers to tell their patients that it's possible to stop a medication abortion once it has started. The Republican-controlled legislature is expected to try and override Governor Kelly's veto. Supporters say the measure would inform women that they can reverse a medication abortion after the first 2 pills. Critics say it was based on junk science. A Wichita man has been sentenced to more than 6 years in state prison for abusing his 2-month-old son. Prosecutors dropped an attempted murder charge against Thomas Avery Harper in exchange for his guilty plea to aggravated battery and child abuse. The Wichita Eagle reports Harper was arrested in October after Wichita police responded to a child abuse call at Wesley Medical Center. I'm Rick Everett from the news desk with Kansas News on the Mid-America Network.
Maximum Outdoor Equipment knows mowers inside and out, backwards and forwards, commercial, residential, all brands, all types. They also know trimmers, edgers, snow blowers, and most other types of outdoor power equipment. Maximum Outdoor has the know-how to work on them and the parts to fix them, even if it isn't a brand they sell. Now, if you need someone to repair your refrigerator or fix your plumbing, Maximum Outdoor Equipment doesn't do that. They're not one of those big box stores that sells lots of stuff but can't help you if something goes wrong. Maximum Outdoor is a small box store specializing in mowers and outdoor power equipment. If you have a lawnmower or some other piece of power equipment that needs tuning up or fixing, or you need parts so you can fix it yourself, they're the people to see, no matter what brand it is, even if you bought it at one of those big box stores. Maximum Outdoor Equipment. Give them a call at 943-0201 or stop in and see them just south of Kellogg on West Street and online at MaximumOutdoor.com.
Maximum service, maximum value, maximum outdoor equipment.
Autocraft is proud to call Wichita home for 40 years. We are local and family owned. We believe using locally owned businesses is important to maintaining a healthy community. Local faces being there for you long after the job is done. Autocraft uses local suppliers whenever possible. Eco-friendly products, giving back to local charities, putting that extra smile on someone's face. Autocraft invites you to join us to keep it local. So let's work together to grow a strong and healthy community. Be sure to visit us at autocraftinc.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 67, winds near 25 miles an hour, clear and 45 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny up to 78, winds again near 25 miles an hour, mostly clear and 56 for Saturday night, winds up to 20 miles an hour. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 6:35, it's currently 54 degrees.
Your home for the Dana Show is the Big Talker, KQAM, and KQAMradio.com.
Waking up the right way.
I look forward to listening to you every morning when I get ready for work.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
There it is, 35 minutes past the hour. Welcome into the Voice Reason. It is a Tuesday, the Post Monday. Let's make some things happen, doing the thing, which is what we like to do each and every day. Welcome into it. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. If you want to join into the program, we'd love to hear from you. Lots of stuff going on today, lots of big news. But I want to start off, first off, hope you had a great and wonderful Easter weekend. It was a wonderful weekend. I shared a picture on social media. I don't know if I can show it on there. I don't think I can actually transfer it over here. But there was a picture. There was a bunny that my daughter, that Isla got in her Easter basket. And it was a cute little bunny, a little white fuzzy bunny. But it had these big, like puppy dog eyes, the big eyes that look at you and look all sweet. But it was round with like sparkly red around the eyes. And I shared, I had to take a picture of it, and I had to share it on social media because as we're there for the 420 weekend, we have some fun with this, and we kind of joked about it throughout, and I did the video and everything. As we did that, then I realized that the bunny looked high. It was hilarious. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that, but it was this big, white, fuzzy, fluffy bunny, and with the big eyes, looked like they were bulging eyes, and then the red around the eye. Now, I know it's supposed to just look cute, but it looked like it was participating in the 420 celebration in Colorado for the Easter weekend. I'm just saying. Now, here's the crazy part about all this, and I will get into it a little bit deeper in the 8 o'clock hour with the actual trip, because there were some interesting parts. I did not realize there was an International Church of Marijuana in Colorado. Oh, yes. And they did an Easter celebration, an Easter service at the International Church of Marijuana, or Cannabis, or whatever they call it. And people came from all over the country to go to this church, and they did the Easter celebration with a light show. So, I mean, hey, celebrate however you want to. That's cool, whatever. I just did not realize that was there. So I want to show you something, and if you get a chance, since the people are jumping on YouTube, which we appreciate, go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio, and I'll describe it on the radio as well here. But so I was visiting my brother Saturday, as him and his fiance, they had gotten a house, and they're settling in, and they're doing great. So I got to go and see their house, and I got to go visit them down in Denver, and it was great. It was a lot of fun, and it was good to see him because it's been a really long time since I've been able to see him. But he gave me something. As they were getting into their new home, he told me, he said, well, this was left in the home from the old owners. I don't know what to do with this. And I thought maybe you would like to enjoy this. Now, my daughter, her favoriteest thing in the whole world right now, and yes, I do use that word, the favoriteest. Her most favorite thing in the whole world right now is unicorn. There are three things that she loves right now, which is unicorns, Nerf guns, and Power Rangers. I don't know where that all came about, but she is already getting into Power Rangers, which I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. She's 4, about to turn 5, and that's, what she enjoys. But she loves unicorns. Everything in her room is pink with unicorns and butterflies. That is her thing, man, I tell you. So, when they gave this to me, they said, Andy, your daughter might like this. But when I saw it, I said, I need to put this in the studio. And I need to have this behind me in the studio every single day because it shows the true rarity of some of the things in the world today that we try and fight for. So, all right, here it is. If you're watching, it is, and if you're not, I'll describe this for you. It is a white, it is a little statue thing, just like a little pretty people put up on their on their counters. or their wardrobe or whatever they do with this thing. I don't even know. But it's a white unicorn with a gnome, like a yard gnome, riding it with a kitty cat holding a firearm. And I did not put this on here. It was actually on when they gave it, but it is an American flag that's attached to the horn of the unicorn that's sticking out and protruding. So it's a white unicorn horse, and the white unicorn horse has like a rainbow purplish green and purple and blue, like a rainbow colored mane, and then a yard gnome riding the horse with a gun, with a kitty cat riding next to the gnome as the gnome's carrying the handgun, and then an American flag sticking out of the horn of the unicorn. I don't know who thought this was going to be a beautiful, pretty thing in their home. I don't get it. But here's the reason why I wanted it, because I thought, oh, yeah, at first I laughed and I said that is the dumbest, ugliest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't get it. And I was going to give it to my daughter because obviously she loves unicorns. So I was like, yeah, why not? But then I thought about it and I said, you know what? This would fit perfect in the studio because it is a unicorn, which is very rare, with a gnome riding on it, which is probably even more rare. The gnome is carrying a golden handgun, holding a kitty cat, and there's an American flag sticking out of it. And I said, you know what? That is about as rare as a Republican in the legislature in Colorado. And it's about as rare as a true, genuine conservative in the state of Kansas. No, I'm not talking Republican Party here because Republicans, obviously, we have the domination. But the ones that actually like stand up for something and fight for it and, you know, stand by what they believe in, this is about as rare as that. So, and as you know, we always make fun when Bryan Frye comes in, city council member, with his rainbow unicorn flavored energy drink. This fits perfectly. So I'm going to keep this in studio, and when we talk about the rarity of someone actually standing on what they believe in and actually believing in constitutional principles, we're going to refer to it as the gnome handgun-toting, cat-holding gnome riding a rainbow unicorn with an American flag sticking out of it. So there you go. There you go. I've never seen anything like this. I don't know who thinks that this is actually something pretty in any way, shape, or form, or why you would even put this in your home as a decoration. I don't get it. But it shows the rarity of the world in the way things used to be in making America great again. And, you know, the rarity of actual, like, common sense in the world. So there's a political reason why this was presented to me. And I appreciate my brother giving this to me for whatever reason and thinking, oh, yeah, my brother will like a rainbow unicorn with a gnome riding on it, holding a handgun and holding a kitty cat. I don't know why he thought of me, so thanks, little bro. I appreciate that very much. And, yeah, we're going to put this in studio. We'll have it behind me throughout the show, so that way, whenever we need to, we can refer to the gnome as what it actually needs to be. I don't get it. I don't know. But, hey, you know what? To each their own, and this is very flavorful and wonderful and colorful, and it will look beautiful in our wonderful studios here in the KQAM studio. So, 316-721-8255. I don't know. Oh, man, I tell you, Colorado people are fun. 316-721-8255. Speaking of Colorado, in that sense, there is a piece of legislation that came out of Colorado that I think is very dangerous, but this is the way it's going. And to show the rarity of, like, Republicans in Colorado, here's a perfect example of this. From the Daily Signal, there is a bill that did pass, House Bill 1032, out of Colorado. This is not a Kansas bill, it's a Colorado bill. And what it does is it goes after the education and the youth of the public education system. And the whole purpose of it is sexual education, which is what they like to go after now. And as they have a very, very, very large population of the LGBTQ community in Colorado, which, again, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's not what we're trying to focus on here. But what they're trying to do through the Colorado Democrat-controlled General Assembly and through the governor that is a very progressive individual himself as well, House Bill 1032 would completely remove and prohibit of the teaching of any religious, moral, and ethical perspective on sex during sexual education classes from being discussed in the classroom. It also demands that the schools teach the relational and sexual experiences of LGBTQ teenagers. It would forbid any emphasis on abstinence and sexual risk avoidance as the only foolproof method against pregnancy and sexual transmitted diseases, and even declare that saying so in classroom is against the law. altogether. You cannot say that abstinence is the way to actually not have an STD and not get pregnant. You cannot say that in this sexual ed class now. And in fact, now it would strip the teachers, administrators, school board to the ability to choose the content of their sex ed curriculums and would no longer allow schools to be excused from requirement of the bill in any way, shape, or form. It goes further in making them teach about the LGBTQ experiences during sexual education, as they say now, between, transgender or gay or whatever it is, forcing the teaching of those styles of sex ed while refusing to say that any of it could potentially be immoral or wrong or bad, or to teach abstinence and not get pregnant and not get an STD. You cannot teach any of that. You have to teach, in fact, the opposite of that. And this is a bill that's being strong-armed and has gone through in the state legislature in Colorado. House Bill 1032 would flat-out ban speech that suggests abstinence in any way, shape, or form and is the best, healthiest choice. That despite the fact that the majority of American teenagers are choosing abstinence, and Colorado teens have lower rate of sexually transmitted diseases and unwanted teen pregnancies than the national average. You have seen the stories, and I'm sure you have, and we've read them here on the show as well, about the number of young adults that actually want to be engaged in that activity, or that are even wanting to have children when they get a little bit older, that they're more of just, hey, leave me alone and let me just focus on my career and what the things that I enjoy, and not be tied down with a family, not be tied down with a kid, because I don't want it. And if that's what some choose to do, then all the power to them. That's their choice. But as that kind of momentum is going in nationally with the young adults, now this type of bill is saying you're not allowed to teach abstinence, not allowed to teach about the morality or the lack of morality or any type of health in any way, shape, or form, but in fact you need to teach sex ed in the way that this is what you do. And, oh, by the way, this is how the LGBTQ members of society and teenagers view sexual education. So this type of bill is, first off, scary, and you're just, wow, really? We've taken it that far? Yes, we've taken it that far. And this has already gone through the legislature in Colorado. And that's the third state out of 3 that have done this exact style of bill. One of them, California, shocker, and the other one, Louisiana, that has passed this type of bill in their state legislature. And as we look at conservative values, traditional values, and you're allowed to teach and here's the thing, you can't even sign the letter for your children to not partake in the class like you can usually, and be like, hey, you know what, I don't want my kid to do it. They can sit out in the hallway, they can go to study group, they can do whatever, but I don't want them in that class, because many parents before used to feel very uncomfortable about this stuff. You cannot even do that. It is demanded that if they are that age in that class, then they have to partake in this. As a parent, are you okay with that? As a parent, are you willing to just say, okay, yeah, go ahead and learn about the LGBTQ style of sexual education? And they're not allowed to even mention the word abstinence in any way, shape, or form, because that is against the law now. It's a very weird position to be in, and Colorado has gone there. Is that the direction many states are going to start going? And are we losing the traditional values? Are we losing the unicorn with a gnome holding a handgun, carrying a kitty cat with American flag type of uniqueness in our society? Are we losing that? Because it seems to be going to the wayside. Got to take a break. 48 minutes past the hour right here on The Voice of Reason. It's a Post Tuesday. Stay here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. Monday was a tough day in the ag futures markets. We just couldn't seem to get anything going. And, in fact, certain of our ag futures really struggled on the day. One of those was Kansas City wheat. May Kansas City wheat finished down 8 1/4 at 4.11 3/4. July was down 7 1/2 at 4.18 1/4. All 3 of the wheat markets were in trouble on Monday, and Kansas City wheat, no exception, couldn't get anything going. May corn unchanged, 358 1/2. July corn unchanged, 367 1/4. The deferred months were all on the downside. Soybeans, pretty much the same story. Everything was in under pressure over the course of the day. May beans down 3 1/2 at 877. July beans down 3 1/2 at 890 3/4. Soybean meal and oil also were lower. May soybean meal was at 302.50, down 70 cents. July was at 306 even, down 80 cents. May soy oil 28.70, down 10 points. July bean oil was down 9 points at 29 even. So not a good look across the soy complex. Corn and wheat struggled. Everything in livestock was also down. April live cattle down 2 at 128.50. June down 110 at 121.57. May feeders down 72 at 150.80. August feeders down 105 at 59.62. Each of the back months were down. May hogs down 117 at 89.02, while June hogs were down 2.97, dangerously close to that $3 limit, 93.77 there. So not a good look across the livestock complex as we finished the day. Cotton started out well, finished mixed. May cotton down 12 points at 77.19, but the deferred contracts were up. Gold was up on the day. April gold up $1.60 at $12.73.50. In fact, silver came along for the ride higher as well. Copper was fractionally lower. Mixed markets on Monday. Update from Mid-America Ag Network.
This is Jim Price. Join me every Saturday evening, 7 to 9 p.m., right here on the Big Talker, KQAM. When the news overwhelms you, from local to national, make sure you get the right information. It's time to put a stop to the fake news of the day. Giving you a recap of the week in politics, it's the Jim Price Show, Saturdays at 7 p.m., and it's only on the Big Talker, 1480 a.m. and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
The Jim Price Show on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Whatever your business, count on EMC Insurance, because our business is protecting your business. EMC Insurance Companies has the knowledge and expertise to provide you with the right insurance coverage options. And when you insure your business with EMC, you receive the added value of our free loss control services, no matter the size of your company. Contact your local independent insurance agent and ask about insurance from EMC. In Augusta, call the insurance guys at 775-0606.
Hi ladies, it's Tiffany, talking about my all-time favorite flooring store, Jabbar's Flooring Outlet. You've heard of Jabbar's Flooring for years. They have the largest selection of carpet, tile, wood, and all your favorite floor coverings in the state. What I really like is the gallery and their design team. Refresh your space this spring at Jabbar's. Take it from me, ladies, a real shopper. Someone who loves a great deal and super quality. See Jabbar's for your new floors. Like they say, the smartest shoppers shop Jabbar's.
If you're active military, a veteran, or part of our law enforcement community, bring in your active or inactive military ID or an active law enforcement ID to any Riverside Cafe location. Buy 2 meals and a drink and get the second meal of equal or lesser value for free. Again, for any military vets or law enforcement, buy 1 meal and 2 drinks and get the second meal at no charge. Riverside Cafe.
Riverside Cafe, with all 3 locations serving all-day breakfast. In Wichita at 9125 West Central, 13th and Bidding, and in Derby at 824 North Baltimore. And now this message about fully customized vehicle wraps and graphics from Shire Graphics of Park City.
Park City Shire Graphics has the highest quality of big truck and fleet graphics, from passenger vehicles to the big rigs and everything in between. No matter the size of your fleet, Shire Graphics of Park City is the area's leader in digitally printed vehicle wraps. Superior quality digital vehicle graphics from Shire Graphics, where their niche is your need in vehicle graphics, from single vehicle to fleet. Shire Graphics at shiregraphics.com.
Hey, it's Mark Walters. Join me for Armed American Radio right here on KQAM, brought to you by Rob's Gun Tech and Firearms.
Seven minutes to the top of the hour. Welcome back into the Voice of Reason, wrapping up hour number 1. Your phone calls at 316-721-8255 on the Shaka Pool hotlines. Let's go to them, shall we? Line number 1. Good morning. Who's this?
Scott.
Hey, good morning, Scott. How we doing, sir?
Well, since the schools or whoever this is are demanding that the schools teach about homosexuality, then they ought to teach the part about where most religions in the world say that it's an abomination, that most societies who accepted homosexuality end up falling or going into despair. They ought to tell you all
but they're
the
not allowed to do that.
things.
That's the thing. They're not
Well,
allowed
wait a minute. You said that they were supposed to talk about it, so you have to talk about negative and positive anything.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's not scientific.
I would completely agree with you. You should be able to say, just like here in Kansas, we're trying to actually, and as President Trump has tried to do, and open up to where you can actually have Bible classes again in public schools and teach, not from the religious standpoint, but from the historical and contextual standpoint of the Bible. You can have classes like that and be able to teach both sides. You're right. I would 110% agree with you. If you're going to teach something, teach both sides and let people choose. what they want to believe, sort of thing. But yet that's why this type of bill is so dangerous, because this sets the precedent that, no, you're going to teach our side of it, our perspective of it. You're going to teach sexual education based on the experiences of LGBTQ teenagers, but you're not allowed to teach about the religious aspect. You're not allowed to teach about abstinence. You're not allowed to teach about STDs and how not to get them. You're not. It is against the law and forbidden for any teacher to teach that side of it. What you must teach is this side, and that's a weird place to be in.
Propaganda. They're just teaching propaganda.
Well, sure.
Because anything one-sided is propaganda.
Exactly. That's the point.
And they ought to be able to fight that in court. And even a jury can nullify that because it's not a constitutional type of law anyway. But I mean,
no, you're right. And it will go to court. It will go to court, and they will hopefully put a block on this. I don't know. I mean, the progressive courts in Colorado are, about as far left as the governor and the legislature at this time, anyways. So I don't know. It may have to go higher up into court and above the state Supreme Court, maybe into the district courts or something like that, which I'm sure it will, because this is a definite, as you mentioned, some type of propaganda. It is an abuse of power. It is a political statement they're trying to make with classes in the public education system. And here's the thing again, you're not even allowed to sign a note as a parent and say, I don't want my child to partake in this in any way, shape, or form, get them out of the class. You're not even allowed to do that. So they are way overstepping their bounds, and it will probably at some point get reversed and go away. The problem is, though, is why do we have to even fight it in the first place? Like, this is a fight that we shouldn't even have to have.
Voters should be able to decide it.
Yeah, this is dumb, though.
Yeah, let voters decide, because I know there's not that many, homosexuals in Colorado where they can outvote everybody else.
It's not even about that. It's just the political power that they try to enforce and bully into individuals and having to do something like this. It's sad that we have to even fight a fight like this. It's not about, it should be about choice. It should be about education. It should be about showing both sides of the aisle. It should be about showing everything out there and then letting the children choose and allowing the parents to actually set the guidance on that child on where they need to go. I mean, this should be the conversation we should be having, but it's not even a discussion. And the fact we even have to fight something like this shows how far we've come, because, again, it's kind of like the Mayor Pete Buttigieg deal, where it's like, let's find common ground between the LGBTQ community and Chick-fil-A, because Chick-fil-A didn't even go after anybody or any group. They just said, this is what we believe in. And that's offensive, apparently. Now they have to compromise and find some type of peace treaty with the group when they didn't even go after them. Why do they have to do anything? I'm allowed to have this belief. I'm allowed to have this view. I'm allowed to stick to my guns and actually believe in what I think. And I don't have to find a peace treaty when I've never even... there's a difference between this is what I believe. There's a difference between that mindset and the mindset of this is what I think you should believe because this is my view and therefore you should believe the same thing. There's a big difference in that. If I just say this is my belief, this is what I believe in, this is what I stand for, that's it. If you get offended by that, then I'm sorry. That's not my fault in any way, shape, or form. That's the way Chick-fil-A is sitting right now. There's a difference between that and saying this is what I believe and therefore I think you should do the same thing. Now, if they were going out and attacking the LGBTQ community, that would be a different story, but they're not. They've never have, and they've never done that in any way, shape, or form. But because of the stance that they believe in personally, now they're being assaulted and attacked by the LGBTQ community. And then people like Pete Buttigieg are apparently the big savior and the big person trying to find the common ground, trying to find the happy peace treaty between the two, so therefore he can walk out and say, oh yeah, look at this, look at what I did. I was able to bring everybody together. Really? That's where we're at. So let's apply that to the schools. It's not about education now. It's not about the learning about every aspect of this. It's not about trying to find, learning about this side of it, learning about this side of it, learning about the abstinence side of it. I mean, the sexual education. No, it's the agenda. This is what you will teach. This is what you will learn. And it's very controversial, but we don't care because this is what we believe, and you're not allowed to teach about abstinence. You're not allowed to teach about STDs. You're not allowed to teach about the morality, right or wrong, or what you can and cannot do. You can't do that, but we will teach you this. That is very controversial, and a lot of people don't like it. And, oh, by the way, parent, you're not allowed to write a note to take your kid out of this. This is definitely propaganda. You're right. Will it be reversed? It probably will. It's a fight that we should never have to have in the first place, though. That's the problem. That's how far we've gone. Because we shouldn't even have to worry about it. But welcome to today. Again, it's the uniqueness. It's the unicorn. It's the fact that it's rare to have common sense in the world today. Got to take a break. Hour number 2 right around the corner. Stay here.
Every day, thousands of vehicles travel the streets of Wichita. And at Affinity Automotive, we care about making sure your vehicle always performs at its best, but more importantly, is always safe for you and your family. From the simplest of services to diagnosing major issues, you can rest assured that at Affinity Automotive, every one of our technicians have the best in training. Affinity Automotive views their customers as part of their extended family, so you can expect honest automotive repair recommendations with the best interest at heart. Come meet our team at Pontiac Meridian. Affinity Automotive. Look it up and you will see our name says it all.
Heartland Bicycle in the heart of Wichita's Old Town at 111 North Mosley has just about anything you need for you and your bicycling needs. Bicycles from Giant, Salsa Bicycles, frames and components, Gunner Cycles USA, and Sun Bicycles. Did you know Heartland Bicycle rents bicycles? And when it comes to service, Heartland will fix you right. Bicycle clothing and accessories. In the heart of Wichita's Old Town, it's Heartland Bicycle. Online at heartlandbike.com.
This is a Steckline Communications station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for the latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by The Laundry Station, Kansas's premier laundry services provider in the Wichita area. Centrally located on Oliver at Kellogg. The Laundry Station.
Good Tuesday morning. Police say a suspect used a taser on a security guard during a robbery at Wichita's Town East Mall late Sunday. A 33-year-old woman working security told police that a man armed with a taser entered the mall and approached her and a 66-year-old female security guard around midnight Sunday night in their office. Police say the suspect tased one of the guards and was demanding money from the mall. The Wichita Police Department said one security guard attempted to call 911 from a cell phone, and the suspect took the cell phone and then fled from the area on foot. Authorities describe the suspect as a black male in his 20s or 30s, standing 5'8", weighing 160 pounds. The investigation is working to determine exactly how the suspect gained entry into the mall after hours. With more Kansans armed with weapons, there are more guns left in cars daily across Wichita, and the Wichita Police Department says thieves are targeting those vehicles. Cake TV reports that Wichita Police Lieutenant Scott Bruno says in the first 3 weeks of April, thieves have stolen 11 guns out of cars. 58 have been stolen so far this year.
The people that are out breaking into cars and stealing them aren't law-abiding citizens. You know, they're not stealing that gun to go hunting with or go target shooting with.
Brownlow says in many cases the person from whom the gun was stolen is not the only victim.
If you leave your gun in the car and it gets stolen, yeah, you're the victim of a crime, but how many other people are now possible victims because that criminal has a gun or two guns or more?
Brownlow says point blank the guns being left in cars are being stolen, and he adds that the thefts are happening at all hours. And yesterday marked the closure of a section of McLean Boulevard just west of Seneca to Meridian to replace large water fixtures under the pavement. I'm Rick Everett from the news desk. We now turn it over to the sports desk and find out what Doug Downs has in the wild world of sports.
Once again, the seventh inning and beyond seems to be the trouble for the Kansas City Royals as they gave up 4 in the latter part of the game for the Tampa Bay Rays to beat the Royals last night 6-3. The two teams play again tonight with a 6:10 first pitch. The Wichita State Shockers are at home at X Stadium. They will face the University of Oklahoma. You can hear that game with Toby Rowland and the Oklahoma broadcast on KGSO. Yudoko Azubuike has decided not to enter the NBA draft. His injury from this past season is keeping him from workouts. He will return to Kansas for his senior season. From the sports desk, I'm Doug Downs.
Hi, this is Phil Martinez at Phil's Coins. At the shop, we talk all the time about honesty and integrity. And in our shop, we've decided that honesty means nothing without integrity. So what I would tell you is that if you didn't bring your coins to Phil's Coins, honestly, you didn't get enough money for what you have. Come see us at Phil's Coins, 9344 West Central, or online at philscoins.com.
Here's some simple math for you. Chevy cars and trucks just cost less at Countryside Motors in Wellington. You want the best price on a Silverado in Kansas or Oklahoma? Check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Are you looking for that perfect SUV? They have the great selection of Buick Enclaves, Envisions, and Encores, again, at the best prices anywhere. Countryside Motors in Wellington. Folks, it's simple math. For the best prices on cars and trucks, check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Online at countrysidemotors.net. Simple math. Best prices. Come on out to the country and save. Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas.
Ag producers depend on Abilene Machine for high-quality ag replacement parts. In addition to tractor and combine parts, they also carry planter, drill, and tillage parts. Need coulter blades, soil saver mold boards, chisel plow points, or field cultivator sweeps? What about seed boots, opener discs, tubes for your planter or drill? Abilene Machine has them for John Deere, Great Plains, Ty, Case IH, Kinsey, and New Holland. Call 800-255-0337 or view their parts online at AbileneMachine.com.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
The Islamic State group is claiming responsibility for the Easter attacks in Sri Lanka that killed at least 321 people but offered no evidence. Sri Lankan officials have blamed a local Islamic extremist group for the attack, saying they were in retaliation for the murders at 2 mosques in New Zealand. Ivan Watson reports that would be an escalation.
There's some questions about this organization, National Tawhid Jamaat, which up until now had been linked with little more than some vandalism of Buddhist statues.
In Huntsville, Alabama, a Madison County Sheriff's deputy is on administrative leave this morning after posting a homophobic comment on Facebook about a gay teen who killed himself. California state legislators are considering a plan intended to encourage more banks to do business with marijuana companies, many of which have been shunned by thousands of financial institutions. Pre-market trading is mixed on Wall Street. Dow futures up 26 points. S&P and NASDAQ down a fraction. I'm Michael Toscano.
Your local weather on KQAM. Brought to you by Maximum Outdoor Equipment. All equipment outdoors, from lawnmowers to snowblowers. Just south of Kellogg on West Street and online at MaximumOutdoor.com.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 67, winds near 25 miles an hour, clear and 45 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny up to 78, winds again near 25 miles an hour, mostly clear and 56 for Saturday night, winds up to 20 miles an hour. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:06. It's currently 54 degrees.
Rick in the morning, Stephanie during the day. Your home for local news is the Big Talker, KQAM. It's time for Reason.
Conservatives are not the anti-environmentalists. We're the conservationists. We're common sense environmentalists. We love commonsensical ways to actually address these things rather than doing it in the political fashion of, hey, look at this. We shook up the system for environmentalism. We're the ones that when we hunt something, we use every bit of the animal. We like not having three-eyed fish in the lake when we go fishing. We're the conservationists.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason, hour number 2 of the Voice of Reason, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on the Big Talker, 1480 on the AM side, 102.5 on the FM side, KQAM. We are simulcasting on YouTube as well. Go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio, subscribe, watch us live, all that good jazz. It's great to be back after a Easter weekend out in Colorado, and let's get it going, shall we? I know it's a Tuesday, but what the heck, man? Let's get it going. Let's get you pumped up, ready to rock and roll, excited for the day, and looking forward to another weekend right around the corner because that's coming up relatively soon, I think.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Yeah, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. Give us a call on the Shocker Pool hotlines if you'd like to. We'd love to hear from you. You can find a complete line of chemicals, pool toys, pool services, everything you need to get your pool or hot tub up and going for the summertime at Shocker Pools, online at shockerpools.com. We appreciate them partnering up with us here on the KQAM and KGSO airwaves. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Bryan Frye, Wichita City Council member, as he comes on every Tuesday, and we appreciate that very much. In the 8 o'clock hour, I do want to play. There's a couple things I want to do in the 8 o'clock hour. Number one, I want to recap the trip to Colorado because there was a reason other than just visiting family that we went, and it was for investigative research, which some are like, oh, all right, cool. Others are a little panicky about. So we did the investigative research as we did, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. Also, we got an interview that I was going to try and do yesterday. Obviously, I wasn't here, so they recorded it for us, and a correspondent did the interview for us, but talking about changes in Medicare. So if you have Medicare, then listen up, and we'll get that update for you here as the Medicare is doing some changes with the program. So stay tuned in for that, and we'll play that interview coming up in hour number 3 as well. However, there is a lot going on, so let's jump into it here with the state of Kansas as we have a Kansas update.
Today in Kansas.
All right, I'm ready.
And some good news and bad news and everything in between. We'll get your thoughts on whether you like it, disagree with it, agree with it across the board. First off, number one, on the personal front that I think was a relatively good step, Governor Laura Kelly did not sign it. However, she did allow it to go into place by allowing it after the 10 days by default to take effect as a law without vetoing. She did not veto, so I guess that's half the process. But the Kansas Farm Bureau Health Option, where if you're a member of the farming community and you sign up for the private plan, then the plan, it's not really a plan, but an option of health care, then you're able to do so as an alternative to expanding Medicaid. And I think this is personally a very, very good thing to have in Kansas. We can show that there's actually different options that we can have other than just government health care, where many across the nation are doing these private plans like this, the different membership plans where we talk about, like the doctor's offices where you do a membership, you pay for it every month, and then you get to go and do your visits and you get to do your thing, and it works out great. Many doctor's offices going that route. Now we have the option with the Kansas Farm Bureau plan that is now going to take effect because she did not sign it, but she did not veto it as well. So I got to give kudos to Governor Kelly there. Now, she kind of needed to, because in both chambers it passed, even with Democrat support, with a veto-proof majority. So even if she would have vetoed it, it would have looked very bad for her if she would have vetoed it, and then they would have overrode that veto. So she was kind of stuck in a corner on that one, kind of like the Capers payment. Didn't want to do it, came out vocally against it very strongly, didn't like it, and then turned around and signed it and said, oh, yeah, this is a great piece of legislation, and it's a great way to get our state back on track financially. She was kind of forced to do so because the Democrats, even in the legislature, forced the option and said, yeah, that we kind of need to, make our payments when we miss a payment. So there's that. She made a comment. She sat down and did an interview and made a comment about Medicaid expansion and her relationship with the Republican legislature so far in this session and so far a couple of months into her administration.
Well, I think we've been able to do some remarkable things in a very short period of time. I think the thing that's most important is that we were able to attract some very highly skilled, experienced people back with expertise in the various agencies that we have across the state. Whether we're looking at Department of Children and Families, we're looking at transportation, we're looking at revenue, commerce. It doesn't matter which agency you look at. What we were able to do was to really find some of the best and brightest minds in Kansas to fill our leadership positions there, which was imperative. Most of the agencies are in pretty dire straits and in need of good leadership in addition to more resources. So we need to get the leadership in place first as we start to re-resource those agencies. I obviously want Medicaid expansion very badly, but I'm not going to sacrifice something else like a stable budget going forward and staying on the road to recovery. I'm not going to sacrifice that to Medicaid expansion. May mean I don't get Medicaid expansion this year, but I will get it. We will get Medicaid expansion in the state of Kansas in the next few years. I think we ought to do it now. We're losing $2 million a day by not doing it, not to mention all the people who don't have access. So I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's right to do it now. But, I'm not going to make a bargain that puts our state back in peril.
All right, there it is. So that was her update on the first few months of her administration, working with the legislature, making some people and signing people to certain positions, and that's all great. And, she has made some good recommendations and some good people into certain positions in the administration. She's also done, like, the nomination for the judge that was not the best, and we applaud her for retracting that when we found out the history of this guy going after individuals as a judge that's supposed to be nonpartisan. And we made a big stink about it, and she ended up responding, and she ended up pulling that out and pulling out that nomination. Now, she also made in the comment, she mentioned that the relationship with her and the Republican-controlled legislature, quote, is as good as I can expect it to be. which I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Obviously we have ideological differences. She wants to do certain things that the Republicans in the legislature don't want to do. Most of them. Some Republicans do, obviously. And they try to really promote one agenda or another. She wants to pass Medicaid expansion. The Republicans do not want to pass Medicaid expansion because that would be pretty devastating for the state when it comes financially, when it comes to the quality of health care, when it comes to the amount of doctors that can actually accept it. It's just bad all around, and it's not something that we want to go towards from the Republican perspective there. Now, she wants to push it through. Here's the good part. If we don't get it through this year, which I hope we do not, and Gene Suellentrop on the Republican side trying to hold off in the committee, Senate President Susan Wagle trying to hold off if it goes to the floor in the Senate from allowing this to happen. Here's the good part. Now that we have the Kansas Farm Bureau plan that's going to start taking effect, then is there an opportunity for that to really succeed, to really flourish, to grow, for it to actually have a year or two, for it to really settle and people join it and things start working? Then guess what? Next year, the legislature come back. They say we want to do Medicaid expansion because, look, there's no other options. There's nothing else we can do. Have to give them government options, right? Then we turn around and say, oh, look, Kansas Farm Bureau. Check that out. Farmers, they were struggling. They're the ones that struggle the most really in the state because, commodity prices suck and all that jazz. Farmers have not been able to afford health care for their families with their business, quote unquote, as a business that is the farm. They haven't had insurance. Obamacare really drove it to force them to buy it. Really financially hurt a lot of the farmers. Now we have an option. It's doing well. Wait a second. The private option, doing well. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Wow. So we have a year now to allow this to really settle, to really ferment, to really grow, and the foundation of it to begin to build. And if we do that, then come next legislative session, when we start looking at Medicaid expansion again, as Governor Kelly said, we will do Medicaid expansion. We will do Medicaid expansion. When we come back and we address it again next year, hopefully, when they come back next year and they try to address it, then we can come back and say, look, the private option we gave worked for that community, worked for that group. That's doing well. People are actually feeling better. The health care is actually getting better in the rural communities because of the number of farmers that signed up on this. Maybe we should look at other options to expand it like that. Have other different types of programs, other different types of options. The government does not need to be the save-all, be-all that says when things go bad, we look towards the government for that answer. That's not a bad position to be in, is it? We can do it without having to go down the road of the ideological battle of saying, oh, look at the finances here and we can't afford it and it's not the role of the government, because that just goes in one ear and out the other. And just, if people don't want to listen to it, then they don't listen to it. And some just say, I'm sick and I don't have coverage, so therefore the government needs to take care of me. And we can go down that road, and we like to, and we have fun doing that, but it goes round and round and round, and we never get anywhere. But if we come back and we actually have options, we actually have alternatives, the way the Republicans at the federal level failed miserably when they tried to repeal Obamacare by not having any alternative or an option by just saying, it's the private sector, do your thing, or we're going to do it with these stipulations, or whatever it was. Whatever it was. The bill that they tried to pass, 6, 7 different times when Obama was still in office as the political stunt trying to repeal Obamacare that they knew wasn't going to go through. Then when they had the opportunity to actually allow it to go through, they refused to actually do it and tried to write a whole different bill. They didn't have a reasonable thing in place. If our legislature was smart and the Republicans wanted to truly stop Medicaid in Kansas, then when we let this ferment for a year and we let this grow, we let this evolve, we let this kind of do its thing, and all the farmers and the farming community with the Kansas Farm Bureau actually do sign up to this option, and they do start getting care, and their families start getting healthier, and they start actually being able to afford medical insurance, then next year we can say, look at how well this is working. Look at how well this is going. We need to do more options like this. There are plenty of other options we can do. We can drive down the cost of health insurance. We can raise the quality of it. We're not putting the pressure and burden on the hospitals or the doctors or the family practices. We're actually taking care of people that truly need it, and we're doing it in a way that does not involve the government doing it for us with our subsidized taxpayer money. There are options, better options. And if we let this succeed, then next year we have a prime example to say, look, here's what else we can do in the state. Here's the Pandora's box that just opened where we can start actually moving in that direction, and we can have some fun doing it instead of just saying, no, Medicaid's bad, Medicaid's bad, Medicaid's bad. And we end up, because when we do that, the argument begins to get old, doesn't it? It begins to get old. We say the same rhetorical thing over and over and over again, and then it loses its purpose. It loses its meaning. We got to do something different by saying, hey, yeah, I'm with you, man. I want to take care of people. The insurance is way too damn expensive. A lot of businesses can't afford it. A lot of private individuals can't afford it. A lot of people are not able to get insurance. We're having people go to the emergency room. You get a $5,000 bill to go to the emergency room. It's ridiculous. Medical bankruptcy is the number one bankruptcy in the entire nation. Medical debt is one of the largest debts in the entire nation. We need to do something about this. Here's the option we have. It's going to be great. It's a private option. It'll give people choice. It'll give people the option. It'll give people coverage. We can do it without raising the government, without spending more money, without going into debt, without raising taxes. We can do it. This is great. Let's make this happen. We got to get excited. We got to get energized. We have to give the options and the choices and the alternatives rather than just saying, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. We can't be negative all the time. We have to show the positives on what's great about our views and our ideas, and then we can start to implement them. Let's do it, baby. State legislators, I hope you're listening. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I know it's going to happen because we have some really great momentum right now, and we can really utilize that going into the end of this session and going into next year. Got to take a break. 20 minutes past the hour. Your phone calls when we come back. Stay here.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Ag News, Mid-America Ag Network. I'm Craig Meade. Good morning. Well, as we know, the weather has held back spring planting in many, many areas. Corn planting is behind schedule, as is sorghum planting.
Now, as we look to the sorghum crop, until this week, we could say that only Texas had sorghum acreage planted, but that has now changed. We've seen Oklahoma adding to that list now. 4% sorghum planted in Oklahoma. 5-year average there is 10%. Texas, of course, still leads, 57% planted. That's behind the 5-year average of 59%. Put that together with the states that have not yet started planting, and we see overall progress for sorghum at 17% planted. The 5-year average is 22%. Last year at this time, 23%.
USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey reminding us that Kansas has yet to plant any sorghum so far this spring. Soil temperature reports brought to you by the Kansas Corn Growers Association and Abilene Machine. Ag producers around the country depend on Abilene Machine for high-quality ag replacement parts at the lowest possible prices. Call 800-255-0337 for new, remanufactured, and recycled parts for planters and drills, tractors, combines, and more, or order online at AbileneMachine.com. Northwest Nebraska is still quite chilly, but the southeast corner of the state, we're back up to 49 and 50 degrees. And we've got some warmer temperatures in Kansas, too, still in the upper 40s in the far northwestern sections of the state, but south central and southeastern Kansas checking in at 55, 56, and 57 degrees this morning as we continue to slowly warm up. The northern tier of counties across Oklahoma checks in at 58 and 59 degrees. In fact, one corner in far northeast Oklahoma, 61 degrees this morning. 4-inch morning soil temperatures as of 7 a.m. Soil temperature report brought to you by the Kansas Corn Growers Association and Abilene Machine on Mid-America Ag Network.
You need to stay in the know all day long, and the Big Talker KQAM can help. Just visit us online at kqamradio.com. Stay up to date on show lineups, station promotions, and upcoming events, local news, and much more. Have an event coming up you'd like us to help promote for you? Shoot us the information at kqamradio.com. Plus, get information on our local shows, show guest lineups, online streaming, and even our Facebook feed all right there. When it comes to news and politics, you need to stay in the know. That's when we come in. kqamradio.com. Check it out today.
Ag producer, get a jump on spring equipment efficiency now in your downtime with MJ's Truck Repair of Mound Ridge. Now's the time for farm machinery downtime maintenance and diagnostic services. So when the crops are ready to go into the fields, you're ready to get going. With diesel engines our specialty, MJ's also takes pride in superior gas engine repair and custom work on all implements. MJ's Truck Repair, under the big American flag off I-135 in Mound Ridge.
This is John Sidoric with JD Aviation Services at the Augusta Airport. There's no doubt that vehicle maintenance is important on the roadways, and proper aircraft maintenance is even more important. Since JD Aviation Services opened its doors, we've received many new customers through recommendations of current customers. So this is your formal invitation to make JD Aviation Services of Augusta your aircraft maintenance partner. Learn more at iflyaugusta.com.
You're invited to Wichita Tractor Spring Open House. Have a hard time making it to last year's 3-day event? How about this year's open house for the entire month of April? This year's Wichita Tractor Spring Open House will include Kubota equipment. Wichita Tractor is the only dealer in South Central Kansas to offer the complete line of Kubota equipment and will be selling it all at the best prices of the year. While you're browsing at the open house, register to win door prizes, including a brand new riding mower. Wichita Tractor's open house for the entire month of April.
Save big.
Guys, welcome to Bad Boy Country.
You're invited to Wichita Tractor Spring Open House. Couldn't make it to last year's 3-day event? How about the entire month of April? Browse all the Wichita Tractor lineup, including Bad Boy, Polaris, and the entire line of Kubota equipment at the best prices of the year. While browsing, enter to win door prizes, including a new Bad Boy mower. Wichita Tractor Spring Open House the entire month of April. Win a Bad Boy mower and save big at Wichita Tractor.
Kansas state politics at its best. Catch the latest only on the Big Talker, KQAM.
This half hour of the broadcast is brought to you by Countryside Motors. A short drive down the turnpike for big savings. Make sure to check out the Buick and Chevy vehicles, cars, and trucks, along with the Polaris and Hustler ATV and turf equipment as well. They have their complete service and parts department for your Polaris and Hustler equipment. The full-line service as well for your Buick and Chevy vehicles. It is the new Spartan dealer for the area as well. Wellington, Kansas. Check them out. It's Countryside Motors. Great stuff, great people down there. We appreciate them very, very much. Visit them online at countrysidemotors.net, countrysidemotors.net, or head down south to Wellington, Kansas, and check them out. It's Countryside Motors. We appreciate them each and every day here in the Voice of Reason. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. The good news of the Kansas Farm Bureau option for health here in the state of Kansas, an alternative to Medicaid. I mean, look, how many farmers do you think, by the way, family farms would probably fit the requirements or the expansion of Medicaid? If we did expand it, that would be below that income threshold by the end of the day after they actually, get their profits from what they do with harvesting and selling their crops. How many would fit below that threshold? How many of them struggle day in and day out because, commodity prices suck and because trade is terrible and because the weather and the hail damaged their crop or it flooded or something? How many of them would actually benefit from a Medicaid expansion that would probably sign up if it expanded, but now have another option of something like the Kansas Farm Bureau? So that's the good front. On the bad front, let's do another Kansas update, shall we?
Today in Kansas.
All right, I'm ready.
On the negative side, Governor Laura Kelly did veto the bill in regards to abortion and here's the thing. I don't understand why. Doesn't make any sense to me. Just the flat out saying if you're going to take the abortion pill, that it can be reversible, and here are the details if you choose to reverse it. That's all that the legislation said, was that you can actually have it reversed if you do it in a certain amount of time with the pill, and you can use a different pill to actually reverse that stuff, and you can reverse your abortion if you choose to do so. And the bill would just make it obligated. Again, this falls into like the Colorado bill that we talked about in the last hour, forcing the public education system to teach about LGBTQ sex education, and forcing the teachers not to teach abstinence, telling them they're not allowed to in any way, shape, or form, telling them they're not allowed to teach about the ethics or the rights or wrongs about sex education in any way, shape, or form. They cannot do that, but they are forced and must actually teach about the LGBTQ sex education because they don't like the choice, they don't like the option, and they don't like hearing both sides of the argument. That seems to me, at least, what's going on here with this bill that Governor Kelly vetoed. And now the legislature will probably try and reverse this one, or at least try and override her veto. I don't know if they'll be able to get through or not, but I don't understand why we have to say, sorry, you're not forced to say, here's the pill if you choose to do the abortion, here's the pill. And, oh, by the way, if you ever have any issue and you want to reverse it or you want to change your mind in the next window that you have, whatever, then here's the other option that you have, and you can reverse this. Very simple thing, right? You would think would be a very simple thing. Now, the progressives on the other side, they say, no, it's junk science, and we're not going to do that because it's a bunch of hooey, and we're not going to believe it. So, therefore, we're not going to force the doctors to actually say that because we don't want them to say that because it's, according to them, junk science. But don't you think even if it was like unknown science or if you didn't believe the science, that it would at least be like, here's an option. Choice. Wait, I thought it was all about choice. And if you choose to reverse and do something different and you wanted to stop what you were originally doing because you changed your mind because you had that choice, You don't want to have that choice? Oh, wait a second. I thought that side wanted choice. Doesn't sound like they actually do. Looks like they want only one ultimatum. Here's your choice. You chose it. Now you want to do the abortion. End of story. And now you're not going to have any other options. It's all done and over. And when we say, wait a second, let's make the doctor say that there is a choice to reverse if you choose to do so, and they say, nope, governor vetoed it. I don't get that one. That, to me, again, shows a little bit of the political agenda and the force of the idea by wanting things to happen as opposed to giving the actual choice that they say that they're for. I don't get that one. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. When we come back, bottom of the hour news, Bryan Frye, Wichita City Council member, hanging out with us for a half hour, along with our unicorn of the day. That's right, there it is. The unicorn, the gun-toting, gnome-riding, cat-holding thing. I don't even know. We'll show it again on the video in a little bit here. If you want to check it out, go to YouTube, find KQAM Radio. Yeah, I know this show just got weird. I get it. Bottom of the hour news coming up. Stay here.
Now back to the KQAM News Desk.
The Office of New Zealand's Prime Minister says she is aware of comments linking Sri Lanka's Easter bombings to the mosque attacks in Christchurch, though it hasn't seen intel to base an assessment. The statement came after Sri Lanka's Minister of Defense made the claim. Correspondent Ivan Watson says there are concerns over new threats in Sri Lanka.
The authorities are still worried about threats. We've just heard a warning for all police stations in the capital to be on alert, looking out for vehicles that they suspect could be carrying explosives.
Over 300 people died in Sunday's attack. President Trump and his wife Melania have accepted an invitation from Her Majesty the Queen to pay a state visit to the United Kingdom. The trip will take place in June and coincide with commemorative D-Day ceremonies. Wall Street opens today after yesterday's fall of 48 points for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I'm John Trout.
Around here, everyone knows you need the right tool for the job. It's the difference between orders filled and orders missed, between return customers and product returns. That's why I order from Grainger. With over 250 local branches, will-call product pickup, and a time-saving mobile app, it's easy to get it right. When it comes to getting what you need, when you need it, Grainger's got your back. Call, click Grainger.com, or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Discount travel sites say they have the best prices, but Hilton.com has the price match guarantee. Look me in the eye. If you find a better rate, they match it and take 25% off. Yeah, well, this is radio, so just stare at the radio. Hilton.com has the best prices. Pinky swear. Or, radio swear. Plus, you can choose your exact room and get free Wi-Fi. Cross my heart, stick a needle in my radio. Expect better. Expect Hilton.
Must be a Hilton Honors member. Applicable terms and conditions at Hilton.com. Pinky swear.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Tuesday. Another threat at a Southwest Kansas middle school, and police say there will be a heightened presence today at Horace Good Middle School in Garden City. Police reportedly received a threat by social media towards the school last night. The Garden City Police Department and the school district are encouraging parents and guardians to monitor their child's social media accounts and to have the child report any suspicious information. Last week, police identified a 14-year-old who made a social media threat depicting the general use of firearms to harm students at the school. The Garden City Police Department encouraging anyone with possible information to come forward. Students at Pretty Prairie, where the band room was extensively damaged, are back to practice thanks to a donation from another school district. Cake TV reports Hutchinson Public Schools donated instruments to the band program at Pretty Prairie High School. Mid-America Network News.
April showers, May showers.
Any showers can wreak havoc on your pickup truck's cargo.
Show your truck some love with Continental Truck Accessories and Tough Truck Bag.
When it's not in use, it folds up for storage under or behind the seat.
When you need it, it's ready in minutes. And it's a waterproof, dirt-proof pickup bed storage option.
You can also protect your truck bed valuables with X-Stain Solid Fold
and Encore by X-Stain.
Continental Truck Accessories. We have you covered. 6701 South Broadway.
Online at ContinentalTruckAccessories.com.
Maximum Outdoor Equipment knows mowers inside and out, backwards and forwards, commercial, residential, all brands, all types. They also know trimmers, edgers, snow blowers, and most other types of outdoor power equipment. Maximum Outdoor has the know-how to work on them and the parts to fix them, even if it isn't a brand they sell. Now, if you need someone to repair your refrigerator or fix your plumbing, Maximum Outdoor Equipment doesn't do that. They're not one of those big box stores that sells lots of stuff but can't help you if something goes wrong. Maximum Outdoor is a small box store specializing in mowers and outdoor power equipment. If you have a lawnmower or some other piece of power equipment that needs tuning up or fixing, or you need parts so you can fix it yourself, they're the people to see, no matter what brand it is, even if you bought it at one of those big box stores. Maximum Outdoor Equipment. Give them a call at 943-0201 or stop in and see them just south of Kellogg on West Street and online at MaximumOutdoor.com.
Maximum service, maximum value, maximum outdoor equipment.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 67, winds near 25 miles an hour, clear and 45 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny up to 78, winds again near 25 miles an hour, mostly clear and 56 for Saturday night, winds up to 20 miles an hour. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 7:35, it's currently 53 degrees.
This segment of the Voice of Reason on KQAM brought to you by Riverside Cafe, home of the 3-pound burger and hand-cut fries, plus breakfast all day long. 2 Wichita locations and 824 North Baltimore in Derby. Riverside Cafe. If you're a Republican, call the show at 316-721-TALK. But if you're a Democrat, call in at 316-721-8255. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, that's right. But, hey, got to call the different lines, man. Welcome into the Voice of Reason, 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK on the Shocker Pool Hotlines, 36 minutes past the hour. Great to have you for the ride today, waking you up better than a cup of coffee, a shot of espresso, even an energy drink right here on the Voice of Reason. Let's do our city update. What do you say? I love having him back in studio here, hanging out with us for this half hour. City Council member, Mr. Bryan Frye, hanging out. Good morning, sir. How are we doing?
Good morning, Andy. Welcome home.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, it was a fun trip.
Did you have to take your passport to get to Colorado?
It seemed like it. Totally different world. It's so crazy how things have changed out there. Even in the 3 years that I've been here, and I've gone back there, I want to say maybe once or twice in the last 3 years, and it is so different already from Colorado and how things have expanded, where things are at, the number of people, the kind of people that are, it's just weird.
It is kind of crazy out there. I mean, they're enjoying some heyday right now with all of the new growth and population moving there. But I hear that's created a lot of challenges, too. It's overcrowded, a lot of homeless.
Oh, too much. The homeless population in downtown Denver has tripled over the last couple of years. Tripled. I mean, the local news is talking about the big issue with the city there was having to deal with was government housing to take care of the number of people that are in, like, the tent community. You see the tent communities in, like, California? Mm-hmm. They have that now in Denver.
Really?
They have tents up everywhere with homeless people.
Are they tents? Are they cardboard houses? Pallet houses? I mean, making them whatever they can make out of them.
Whatever they can make out of them. There's actually a community where they have, like, the actual camping tents.
Wow.
Hundreds of them. And I didn't get to drive by it, but they showed it on the local news. Hundreds of them. It's the tent community that's in California. It is now in Denver. And now they're talking about how to try and expand government housing in Denver because of what's gone there and the real estate that's gone up. I mean, my brother got, and it's a cute house, it's a decent house, but it's not that big, and he got it for like $325,000. Wow. But it's like smaller than my house that I have here that I got for $80,000. Kind of thing. I mean, that's how bad the real estate is. And that's why there are so many people that are being driven out of the state, why the real estate's crazy, and there's a number of homeless people. And now we're looking towards government housing in Denver. So, their city council out there, they're having some major issues.
So we do a point-in-time challenge here in Wichita to keep track of our homeless.
Yeah.
And at any one time, they say it's about 573.
Wow.
And this weekend is actually a homeless day for homeless for a day challenge.
Okay.
So that people like me and other folks that are having interest in fixing this problem can experience what it's like to be homeless for the day. And go to the facility and check out all the offerings and the services that are provided, and we can try to figure out some gaps and ways to improve this system, because we certainly don't want it to get like Colorado or L.A. I heard there's over 20,000 people in their downtown living in encampments. And that's just unimaginable in some place like Wichita, Kansas. But if we don't stay ahead of it and try to figure out solutions and provide some coverage for those gaps, we could be just like that.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, and there's some really good programs. I mean, and everybody's situation is different, to where they had a burst and they lost their job and they lost their home, sort of thing, to they had some type of addiction. And again, I love the fact that you guys are doing something like this, because it's really about how we can get people back up on their feet. It's not like what they're trying to do, more government, government housing. It's how can we get people back on their feet so they can afford to get an apartment or get a home and be able to do this, and we don't need to worry about a homeless population. And it's raising the quality of life that way, rather than just saying, oh, guess we need to get free government housing now.
A hand up,
That's
not
crazy.
a handout. Right. So there's a group that I've done a lot of volunteer work for, Passageways, and they help get our veterans that are homeless back in a home and functional, get a job, get their identity back, get their life back. And it's all about getting them resourceful and back on their feet, and just not providing the services, not just providing the things, but actually giving them a means to do it on their own. And so that's what it's about.
No, I love it. It's really good. And then, of course, I just hunkered down and wrote out the 420 thing out there. They had festivals in their city parks. Festivals with bands and inflatable stuff, and I'm sure other types of inflatables.
Doritos and orange sickles for everybody.
Man. Now, the media did report and say, actually, as opposed to last year where they completely trashed the place, they actually left it clean. So, hey, look at that. We actually cleaned up the park when we were done. But yet they had their major festivals, and I just went up in the mountains and visited the family and just hibernated and wrote it out.
Well, I'm glad you got some time off and got to see something that you wouldn't see here.
Oh, yeah, definitely a different experience out there. So coming up for the city today, you guys have been busy and had a lot of things going on from last meeting, from last week, and what's going on today.
Last week we had two very important items that were both passed unanimously, which is great. We always like to see that cooperation. One was the next phase of the stadium build, which was about $11 million worth of work to get done for this particular stage in the build of it.
Sure.
We're behind schedule, or below budget, which is good. So costs are keeping in line. As part of that, also, we approved the alignment of McLean. So, again, we are not closing McLean. It's going to stay open, but it'll be 2 lanes of traffic instead of the 4.
Sure.
The intersections will have full intersections, obviously, with left turn lanes and so forth, but the thoroughfare will be 2 lanes of traffic.
What is the traffic through there?
It's about 10,000 vehicles a day, which is way less than what you would need for a 4 lane, so that's why we can reduce it. And again, we want people to slow down and enjoy the scenery through there and the activities. There's going to be stuff on both sides, obviously. The riverbank's going to be improved.
Sure.
And so it's going to be more of a scenic drive. And again, on game days and event days, we were going to close that street down to allow for more pedestrians and people to get out and enjoy the amenities that are there. So we really don't need 4 lanes of traffic for that.
Sure.
So that was a very important day in the stadium development. We're still on schedule. Like I said, we're still below budget. So things are progressing smooth. The other thing that we approved was the East Patrol substation for the police department.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So the current one is too small for the staff that utilizes it. It was built for 30 to 40 staff. Right now we're housing about 115 to 120 officers in that facility. And they're on top of each other. There's no room to do their jobs. There's no place for evidence storage.
Right.
There's no place to interview victims and or detainees.
Sure.
There's no holding cell. So this will allow us to have a fully operational substation.
So it's going to be its own separate building.
Correct. And it's going to be on the same grounds as the current one. It's going to utilize some open space that's part of a park.
I was going to say, is it going to go further into the park and
correct.
kind of go that? Okay.
It's going to go a little north of the existing fire station.
Gotcha, okay.
Right there at Kellogg and Edgemore.
Yep.
It's called Cypress Park. And so it's a $7 million price tag. So that includes, this is one of the questions I had, because $7 million seems to be a lot of money for a 23,000 square foot building. That averages out to about $300 a square foot. Now, any of our commercial property folks that are listening, that's more than type A office space. So a very expensive building, but when you consider everything that's going into that facility, between holding cells, locker rooms for men and women, the technology that we need in our police department now, it's not a typical office space.
Sure.
And that also includes the design, all the furniture, all the equipment, everything. There'll be a workout facility for the officers there. So a much more involved building. The goal is to get it designed and built this year. If we can move that quickly, they definitely need it. And then this hopefully will create the blueprint for future substations. The next one would be west. We have a very similar situation at Central and Elder, just west of 235.
Sure.
Where that's a combination police fire station. And it, too, is cramped and too small and doesn't have the facilities that they need. And so we're currently looking at sites in West Wichita for that substation. It'll be a couple of years down the road. But if we can get this design right, then we'll have a template going forward.
This will be kind of the experiment now for potentially the other ones when you do the upgrades. Yeah.
Right. And so that's really an effort to support the community policing aspect of what Chief Ramsey's trying to do and making sure that we have officers closer to the neighborhoods that they are patrolling.
Sure.
Right? Instead of always having to come downtown for everything.
Sure. How many officers are at that station?
About 115, 120.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good amount.
Yeah, triple what's currently the size that it's built for. So, like I said, they're on top of each other. They don't have storage lockers. They don't have any of the things that they really need. So
sure,
that's a fast track. But again, it's a very important piece of what we're doing to keep our community safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today we have a workshop. So consent. Not a lot of things today. One item on the consent agenda is the downtown Hilton, which has been in construction phase for a couple of years. It was originally supposed to be finished in March of 18. They had applied for Community Improvement District sales tax. We granted it. They missed their deadline. They asked for another one in March of 19. They've missed that. It's just taking longer because they're building a rooftop pool that overwalks Douglas. So it sticks out past the building, and it's all plexiglass. And so you'll be able to walk out and stand floating.
Where you can kind of see below and see the street and everything.
Sidewalk and everything.
One of those, okay.
So the manufacturer for that is based in South Carolina, and they got heavily damaged by the hurricanes the last couple of years.
Sure.
And so that has put them behind schedule.
Sure.
And so they're asking for another extension. This will be the second extension. We're missing out on revenue that we're supposed to be getting from them being open. And so we're like, we get that. We understand it.
Let's get her done.
Let's get her done.
Yeah.
And we're going to hold you accountable. And so we're going to start putting some teeth into that and saying, you need to get it done. And so there's some compensation back to the city because of the missed deadlines.
Very interesting. Okay.
A little bit of a clawback to make sure that they stay on track.
That will be kind of fun, though, to see the whole. I've always wanted to see the plexiglass, look underneath it, go swim and see the street below. And,
right.
Have that weird.
Yeah, so it'll be one of a kind. It's going to be pretty unique. I've been inside the construction, and the rooms are incredible. It's a Hilton Garden Inn, so they're very nice.
Sure.
But that's delayed the overall project. They can't open a Hilton without it all being open. So, I mean, even though the rooms are done and everything else is pretty close to being finished, they got to get that pool finished before they can open as a franchise.
Interesting. Okay.
And then we have two workshops. One is on fire department utilization of resources. We got the right pieces in the right places.
Sure.
And how are we responding to calls, and what can we do to improve that? And then domestic violence task force did a study and kind of looked at some other gaps and things that we could do better and some recommendations. So those are two workshop items for today.
Should be a fun meeting. It sounds like
the consent usually doesn't have anything serious on it. This one's just kind of a different piece.
Yeah.
But the two workshop ones are very important. We're, again, talking about keeping our community safe. Fire and domestic violence, two very important things.
It's a huge thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, that's really good. I'm glad we're addressing that. Now, going into the summertime, are we getting closer to more budgetary talks for the next couple of years, next year's budget, that sort of thing? Is that coming up soon?
Yes. Actually, we have got our retreats scheduled for next month, the beginning of the month. Staff has already been working on some of the CIP capital improvement plans and trying to categorize priorities.
Sure.
Staff has also been working through the preliminary budgets. We have a retreat between city management and council where we kind of go over those at first blush and start looking at getting into the detail.
Sure.
Typically, then we have some public meetings in June and July, and if I remember correctly, we approve it in late August.
Okay.
So,
all right. We're getting there.
Yeah.
Getting down
I mean,
to it.
this is the time of the year where we start making those priorities and determining what we're going to be doing. So
from when you passed the budget last fall to where we're at now, are we still kind of on track? No surprises, big things that have happened that it's like, oh, we've had to push the budget further than what we anticipated, sort of thing?
Well, one of the things that happened last year was we were very conservative with our revenue projections, and it actually came in better.
Good.
So we have a little bit of a cushion from last year that we were able to carry over. A couple of things that we've been working very hard on based off of last year's budgets were libraries and the branch libraries. If you remember last year, there was a proposal to close a couple of branches.
Sure.
We went in depth and did a review of all of our branches, and we've come up with a better plan for sustainability on all of them.
Okay.
We think there should be a little bit more investment putting into those branch libraries as part of that. We've also been working very hard on City Arts and Cowtown, two other city amenities, and how can we shore up their budget situations.
Sure.
And so a lot of work was done on that. We still have to approve the aquatics master plan. We've talked a lot about that, swimming pools and splash pads, and we've refined that to a point now where we believe keeping 6 pools open, refurbishing them, and adding 6 splash pads is the best solution.
Okay.
It's also under budget from what our last approved plan was. Last time was $22 million. This is closer to 16.5.
Sure.
So, and we think, again, keeping 6 pools open, extending the season for those, keeping longer hours for them. So a lot of the things that we addressed last year, obviously we're always going to be concerned with revenue and making sure that we've got enough revenue to do what we can do without raising taxes.
Sure.
Part of that is growing the economy and making sure that we've got the great jobs here, we've got the amenities and the quality of life that want to keep people here and want to make them move here.
Sure.
So we've got to balance all of that and make sure that we're doing it in a reasonable and responsible way.
Well, and it sounds like we're doing it within the budget from what we had talked about, so that's a good sign as well.
Right.
And hopefully we continue on that path. And if we have that little bit of a, safety net or that cushion that we have, then hopefully that doesn't just go out the window, but we can kind of retain that for during times of emergency.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
And another thing that happened last weekend, at the end of the week, Riverfront Legacy Group, which is a combination of Visit Wichita, Downtown Wichita, Greater Wichita Partnership, the Chamber, City, and the county, and I don't know if I'm leaving somebody out, again, all came together and said, we need to plan use of our riverfront over the next several decades. What is it going to look like? How are we going to plan for this?
Right.
And we've got private industry coming to the table and saying, we want to be part of the solution.
Sure.
And help figure this out. And this goes to the bigger picture of Century 2 and the convention center, and how does this all fit together? How do we make the best use of those resources?
Sure.
So that's underway, and that's a very good sign that we're all working together to figure out a plan for that.
Boy, you guys have a lot of things that are going on right now. It's fast moving, but at least you don't have to deal with something like trying to find, crazy housing and, some of the other cities have to deal with.
No,
so
but
that's good. We're actually on a front here.
But I wish I had a gnome riding unicorn carrying a cat. That is outstanding.
Doesn't everybody? They just need a gun-toting gnome riding a unicorn with a cat.
We talked earlier. It's almost something like out of a Beetlejuice or a Shrek movie or something, right? I mean,
I just don't know who sees that and says, that's perfect for the decoration in my home.
It's outstanding.
I don't get it.
I want one now.
Well, hey, you know what? I will. We're going to have to track some more of these down here. I like it. Bryan Frye, Wichita City Council member. If people want to go to the meeting today, how can they do so?
So today, with it being consent and workshop, we start later than normal. We start at 9:30, and this is in the boardroom on the first floor, not in the council chambers. City Hall, Central and Main, 9:30. If you can't come to the meeting, you can always watch it on Facebook, YouTube, or Cox Channel 7.
I love it. Good stuff. Always a good talk to you, sir.
Thank you.
Have a great week. We'll do it again next Tuesday. We'll take a break, wrap up hour number 2. We got lots more to get to right here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Market information, Mid-America Ag Network. The live cattle futures were down anywhere from 80 cents to $1.10 on Monday. Front month April was down a bit as well, perhaps fallout from the cattle on feed report. The cattle on feed report showed 2% more cattle on feed. Feeder cattle futures were 72.5 cents to $1.42 lower on Monday. The CME feeder cattle index down 14 cents to 145.97 April 19th. Wholesale boxed beef prices, in spite of the report, were up on Monday. Choice boxes were up 83 cents at $234.48. Select boxes were $2.15 higher at $222.64. USDA estimated 114,000 head of cattle were slaughtered under federal inspection. Lean hog futures settled with 70 cent to $2.12 losses on Monday. China confirmed an African swine fever case on Hainan Island, which is more than 200 miles offshore and had thought to be relatively safe. The CME lean hog index was up another 39 cents from the previous day at 81.02 April 18th. Pork carcass cutout value 62 cents higher in the Monday afternoon report at 87.86. The national base hog cash price 78.89, down $1.05. Estimated federally inspected hog slaughter Monday 324,000 head, as some plants experienced some downtime. Refocusing our attention now to corn, soybeans, and wheat. Corn futures are about a penny a bushel lower this morning after ending Monday with most contracts as much as 4 cents lower. Soybeans are fractionally higher in some contracts after seeing as much as 4-cent losses on Monday. And wheat futures are trading unchanged to 2 3/4 cents higher on turnaround Tuesday. All three markets are in plus territory. Taking a look at where we are right now, May corn down 3/4 at $3.54. May Kansas City wheat is up 1/4 cent at $4.12. July is up 1/2 cent at $4.18 3/4. Soybeans looking not so good. May down 1/4 cent at $8.76 3/4. Market update, Mid-America Ag Network.
When you look around, you might feel pride is in short supply these days. Everything's being disrupted. Rules are changing. Everyone's scrambling to be the next flavor of the month. But at Ford, we don't measure in months. We've been around for 115 years, and we know the only constant is change. So, disruption? Yeah, it's what we do every day. It's also what's led us to build the world's first affordable car, the most beloved pickup truck on the road, the iconic American sports car, and the SUV most people think of when they think of an SUV. We know America was built on the backs of families like ours, so we still take pride in what we build and how we build. We even take pride in taking pride. And the world could use a little more of that right now. Because if you don't believe in what you're doing, why do it at all? Build Ford proud.
Hey, Mark Walters with Armed American Radio, and I want to tell you about Rob's Gun Tech and Firearms. They're the dealer to buy, sell, trade, and even consign. Budget to high-end custom firearms, ammo, accessories. They've got it all and feature Wilson Combat, Guncrafters Industries, and Nighthawk Custom. Have a request? Work with their in-house gunsmith, find the right solution for you. Rob's Gun Tech offers pricing programs and discounts and proudly gives back to the Veteran Suicide Network. Learn more today at robsguntechandfirearms.com or visit them just east of 159th North on East Kellogg, where they know more than just the price.
Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Mays, the store that takes pride in serving you just south of K96 on North Mays Road in Mays, interrupts their regular commercial schedule for this important message.
Pride Ag Ace Hardware invites you to Milwaukee Tool Demo Day on Saturday, April 27th. Come on out to Pride Ag Ace and see demonstrations of the best power tools and hand tools your money can buy. Milwaukee, that's Saturday, April 27th at Pride Ag Ace, 5204 North Mays Road.
Pride Ag Ace Hardware of Mays.
Wichita's home for talk radio. This is the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM.
All right, top of the hour news coming up. We got lots more to get to. We also have some calls on the line. Don't go anywhere. I don't have time right now because I want to give you plenty of time to talk, so we'll do that as soon as we come back in hour number 3. Open lines to you. No guest early. I do have an interview I want to play with an update on Medicare, and if you're on Medicare, what those changes to Medicare will actually be. So I do have that interview. It's about 6 minutes long that we'll play sometime in the next hour, but it's open lines to you all hour. I want to talk about the trip to Colorado, the investigative research that we ended up doing while we were there, along with some of the observances that we had while I was there. It was very interesting. You know, I want to talk about a state that's changed dramatically from when I was there before to now, and what potentially could be coming to Kansas if we end up going down that road. That's something we got to look at. I mean, we got to address it one way or the other, good or bad, indifferent. and we'll look at all that stuff. So we'll do that when we come back. We'll start off with some phone calls. Don't go anywhere. It's hour number 3, The Voice Reason. It's good to be back. It's good to be back in studio. Good to be back in Kansas. Good to be back rocking and rolling with a brand new week. Hopefully you had a wonderful Easter. This is your show. It's time to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hour number 3, The Voice Reason, coming up.
Truck owners, Toppers Plus Truck Accessories has the tonneau cover for you. Protect your truck bed and valuables with a locking truck lid. Choose from hard, soft, folding, or retractable covers. Toppers Plus has top brands like Lear, Undercover, Backflip, X-Stang, Roll and Lock, and more. Work or play, make your truck work for you. Toppers Plus, 5511 West Central in Wichita, or toppersplusks.com.
Make your truck work for you!
You're busy working. Now get busy saving. It's easy at your authorized Bobcat dealer, White Star Machinery. For a limited time, we're offering cashback rebates up to $13,000 on new Bobcat excavators. Or take advantage of 0% financing for 48 months with approved credit. And we'll give you up to $8,000 back. Don't miss these limited time offers with cashback and 0% financing. Stop by your local White Star or call 866-587-7442 today.
White Star, get the job done.
This is a Steckline Communications station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM, Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Augusta Flight Center, with the largest and most diverse fleet of rental aircraft in central Kansas. Learn more at iflyaugusta.com.
Good Tuesday morning. It sounds as if Wichita could be home to a new Trader Joe's retail store on the city's east side. KWCH-TV reports a spokesperson for Trader Joe's confirmed to the TV station on Monday that the grocery chain is looking at Bradley Fair at 21st and Rock Road. Trader Joe's said it's taking the necessary steps to make it happen. A Wichita church has paid off $2.2 million in medical debt for hundreds of Kansans. Pathway Church said yesterday on Facebook that they sent a special piece of mail on Easter to 1,600 Kansans who fell into a hardship determined by RIP medical debt. Cake TV reports that Pathway Church this Easter sent a special piece of mail to all 1,600 Kansans who fell into hardship category and let them know in Jesus' name that their medical debt had been forgiven. Authorities say a Town East Mall security guard was tased Sunday night by an intruder at the mall. A 33-year-old woman working security told police that a man armed with a taser entered the mall and approached her and a 66-year-old female security guard around midnight in their office. Police say the suspect tased one of the guards and was demanding money from the mall. Police are still working to determine exactly how the suspect gained entry into the mall after hours. The Oklahoma Medical Examiner is saying that remains found on April 12th in Kaw City, Oklahoma, are those of a 20-year-old Ark City resident, Quentin Roush, reported missing in May of last year. The Courier Traveler says the human bones were found in a heavily wooded area behind a residential area in Kaw City. KWCH-TV reports that the Cowley County news outlet News Cow reported last week that friends of Roush said the found remains were those of the missing 20-year-old. Roush was reportedly last seen in Ponca City last year and first reported missing on May 8th of 2018. I'm Rick Everett. Now sports.
The Kansas basketball team got some good news last night as Azubuike has decided not to enter the NBA draft and return to Kansas for his senior season. Azubuike was injured during the regular season, and unfortunately for him, the injury is the reason he still cannot participate at what would be the NBA Combine or workouts. Kansas State wide receiver Hunter Rison, who was arrested on Friday of suspicion of domestic battery, now has a court date of May 1st. Rison has been suspended from the Kansas State football team indefinitely, according to head coach Chris Kleiman. From the sports desk, I'm Doug Downs.
You can't handle the truth.
Hi, this is Phil Martinez at Phil's Coins. At the shop, we talk all the time about honesty and integrity. And in our shop, we've decided that honesty means nothing without integrity. So what I would tell you is that if you didn't bring your coins to Phil's Coins, honestly, you didn't get enough money for what you have. Come see us at Phil's Coins. 9344 West Central, or online at philscoins.com.
Every truck owner knows real truck protection doesn't drop in, it's sprayed on. And the leader in sprayed-on truck bed liners is Rhino Lining. And now Toppers Plus Truck Accessories is your Rhino dealer. Rhino's sprayed-on truck bed liners outperform all plastic drop-in, rubber mats, and paint-like coatings. Rhino linings never crack, never peel, never warp, and come with a nationwide lifetime warranty. Nothing beats a Rhino. See how good they are. Call Toppers Plus Truck Accessories 942-2864 or find them at toppersplusks.com.
Make your truck work for you.
Your spring is going to be amazing, and men and women in the know they can take it to the next level with a hat from Hatman Jack's. When was the last time you stopped into Hatman Jack's at the Clock Tower in Delano? Guys, Hatman Jack's has a straw in your style, from fedoras to western, spring fashion for lawn parties, Kentucky Derby events, and spring charity events. Whether it's the latest in fashion or the best in practicality, with sun protection for gardening, yard work, or golfing, Hatman Jack's at the Clock Tower in Delano.
Here's the latest from the KQAM News Center.
The Office of New Zealand's Prime Minister says she is aware of comments linking Sri Lanka's Easter bombings to the mosque attacks in Christchurch, though it hasn't seen intel to base an assessment. The statement came after Sri Lanka's Minister of Defense made the claim. Correspondent Ivan Watson says there are concerns over new threats in Sri Lanka.
The authorities are still worried about threats. We've just heard a warning for all police stations in the capital to be on alert, looking out for vehicles that they suspect could be carrying explosives.
Over 300 people died in Sunday's attack. President Trump and his wife Melania have accepted an invitation from Her Majesty the Queen to pay a state visit to the United Kingdom. The trip will take place in June and coincide with commemorative D-Day ceremonies. Wall Street opens today after yesterday's fall of 48 points for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I'm John Trout.
Your local weather on KQAM, brought to you by Jewelry Savers, conveniently located off K96 on Greenwich Road, the Kansas trusted jewelry source since 1971. Jewelry Savers.
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 67, winds near 25 miles an hour, clear and 45 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny up to 78, winds again near 25 miles an hour, mostly clear and 56 for Saturday night, winds up to 20 miles an hour. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:06, it's currently 53 degrees.
News, weather, and information on local shows. Visit us online at kqamradio.com. It's time for Reason.
Conservatives are not the anti-environmentalists. We're the conservationists. We're common sense environmentalists. We love commonsensical ways to actually address these things rather than doing it in the political fashion of, hey, look at this. We shook up the system for environmentalism. We're the ones that when we hunt something, we use every bit of the animal. We like not having three-eyed fish in the lake when we go fishing. We're the conservationists.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Then I'll get on my knees and pray. We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Hey, everybody, welcome into the Voice of Reason. It's hour number 3. Welcome into it. Great to be along for the ride this morning. Great to have you along. Great to be back here after the Easter holiday weekend. Welcome into the broadcast. Hour number 3, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas. On the Big Talker, KQAM on the AM side, the FM side, rocking it on YouTube Live. Go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio. As we got a lot of people jumping on there as well this morning, and we love and appreciate that. You don't have to have an account to watch it on YouTube. If you want to leave a comment or watch past shows, I believe you. Well, not even past shows, you don't have to. Really, you just need to subscribe if you want to leave a comment, which you don't have to do. You can just watch it. So go to youtube.com, find KQAM Radio, watch us live, and it's great to have you. 316-721-8255, 316-721-TALK. It's open line to you this hour. There is one interview that I want to play that was sent to me on Medicare updates, so we'll do that here in just a little bit. It's about 6 minutes long. If you're on Medicare, some of the changes that will be coming, that's kind of important news, so we will play that here in just a bit. I do want to talk about the trip to Colorado, as there were some interesting tidbits that I think we need to discuss, and the investigative research that I did. If you did not watch the video, I made a video, and it's on the Voice of Reason Facebook page. And when we got to Denver on Friday, I made a little video outside of a dispensary, as this has been kind of an interesting discussion that we've had on the show, and I promised it that I would do some investigative research on the legalization there going into 420 weekend, and boy, did we get some stuff. So we'll talk about that here as well. I want to spend some time on it, as this has been a hot talking point on the program for a long time. So we'll break it down. We'll get my thoughts on it, get your thoughts on my thoughts, and see where we go from there. So welcome into it. 316-721-8255. Let's start off hour number 3 with a phone call, shall we? Good morning. Who's this? Hello.
Good.
Yeah, how we
Is
doing?
this Andy?
It is. How you
Hey,
doing?
Andy, this is Michael Taylor. We're going to do an interview today.
Michael Taylor, that's right. How are you, brother? I tell you what, hang on the line for just a second. I want to get to you here in a minute. And, yes, I am really excited to get you on the program. So stay with us there, and we'll do that here in just a minute. I want to, real quickly, 316-721-8255. Let's take another phone call here, shall we? Line number 2. Good morning. Who's this? No. Maybe. No, I guess we lost you. All right, give us a call back. We want to hear from you. 316-721-8255. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have our guest. I'm excited to have him on the program here. We got lots to get to, your phone calls as well, plus the trip to Colorado, the Easter weekend. I hope everybody had a great one. Our thoughts and prayers, by the way, the update when it comes to the Sri Lanka issue from the terrorist attack. ISIS now claiming victory on that one, saying that they are the ones responsible, as that news coming out. And I told you, as one who's actually been there and saw that in Colombo, Sri Lanka from years ago during the Civil War, people a little on edge with that one. And with many of our elected officials not even saying that it was an attack on Christians when it really was, but on Easter worshipers, as Barack Obama put it in his tweet. That was kind of an interesting one. So we'll do that and more, plus your phone calls right here on The Voice of Reason. 10 minutes past the hour. Stay here.
You're listening to The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Thanks to Amazon.com, anyone can publish a printed book or Kindle ebook. And the Mueller Report is the latest bestseller. Kim Commando with your Tuesday Consumer Tech Update. Get digital know-how the easy way with my free tech newsletters delivered from me to your email daily. Sign up now at Commando.com. Since it was released by the Justice Department, the Mueller Report became the #1 best-selling book on Amazon.com, and the second best-selling book, and even the third best-selling book, due in large part to clever marketing. Who would have thought that people would pay up to $10 to buy the report from big-name publishers? Instead of boring text, the Amazon books feature fancy covers, along with bonus content from newspapers or law professors. You can help keep the Mueller Report at the top of Amazon.com charts, or just save your money and get it absolutely free at the Justice Department's website. Free is always better, even if it doesn't come with Prime shipping. I'm Kim Commando. Dell Small Business Technology Advisors give you trusted advice, one-on-one partnership, and tailored tech solutions like computers with Intel Core processors, servers, storage, networking, plus thousands of top brand electronics, accessories, and software. No matter your technology needs, Dell is here to help your small business do big things. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with an advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate. But you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume. Like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
Coming spring 2019.
Hail.
Ouch. Oh.
Wind. Freezing temperatures. Tornadoes. That's mayhem.
Hi, I'm Mark Collier, your local Allstate agent. We're your insurance agency interested in doing what's best for you. Before mayhem strikes, call us at our Goddard office, 316-413-4014, and find us on Facebook at Collier Allstate. Are you in good hands?
Hi, ladies. It's Tiffany, talking about my all-time favorite flooring store, Jabbar's Flooring Outlet. You've heard of Jabbar's Flooring for years. They have the largest selection of carpet, tile, wood, and all your favorite floor coverings in the state. What I really like is the gallery and their design team. Refresh your space this spring at Jabbar's. Take it from me, ladies, a real shopper. Someone who loves a great deal and super quality. See Jabbar's for your new floors. Like they say, the smartest shoppers shop Jabbar's.
The Miller Minute with Dennis Miller.
I want to talk about symbolism. The Laguna Beach, California Police Department has designed a new logo for 11 of their police vehicles, which included an American flag logo in an attempt to help the department be more visible to the public. But of course, we live in the age where all good deeds are punished, and as such, the department received hundreds of concerned messages that the design was aggressive. Can someone please explain to me just how can the symbol of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness now be interpreted as aggressive? This image that thousands upon thousands have fought to protect, with some giving the ultimate sacrifice for it. But in the inclusionary world of 2019, we can't even be proud of who we are. All that being said, doesn't the enforcement part of law enforcement necessitate carrying yourself in a somewhat aggressive manner? If seeing the stars and stripes on a police car is upsetting to you, I'll remind you of the simple solution. Stay out of trouble. Don't engage in any kind of behavior that attracts the police. And that's the Minute. I'm Dennis Miller.
Some job recruitment sites overload your inbox with resumes. Glassdoor knows not just any will do. From 62 million job seekers, Glassdoor only matches you with qualified candidates who have the skills and experience your small business needs to grow. In fact, Glassdoor hires are 30% more likely to stay with your company longer, and Glassdoor can help you find that perfect candidate in half the resumes. Go to glassdoor.com/hire. Glassdoor. Find the right fit for your business.
Head to Court Furniture Clearance Center for up to 70% off new retail prices. Stock is updated regularly, so you never know what kind of treasures you'll find. We offer a wide variety of stylish furniture for any budget, and every piece is Court certified, so you can let your personality show in every room. And now through April 3rd is our tax refund sale. Mention Refund 25 and take 25% off living room and dining room sets. Use your refund and refresh your home with stylish finds from Court Furniture Clearance Center. Go to CourtClearanceFurniture.com today.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Join me live afternoons at 5 right here on the Big Talker, AM 1480, 102.5 FM, KQAM.
Boy, looky here. Look at this. Oh, yeah. So, sitting off the side here, I'm really excited to do this as well. The book that we're going to chat with our next guest and talk about some of the issues. And this is kind of the perfect segue as we talk about the issues going on in Colorado, as we talk about some of the societal issues we talked about in the first hour. Colorado, one of the bills they did sign was the teaching of the sex ed and how they do that, and the teaching of abstinence. When we hear about the angry white male class here at Kansas University at KU, there's a weird thing going on in society. And it's kind of perfect we're talking about this now. He is the author of the new book, A New Conversation with Men. And as we talk about the culture of manhood, masculinity, and how we stand up. And is it the problem with masculinity? As we see the Me Too movement going on, as we see a lot of the assault cases, and as we hear that masculinity is a bad thing, we have the masculinity confession booths at many universities, and you see a changing culture that's going on right now. What does this all mean? Is it good? Is it bad? And author of the new book, A New Conversation with Men. Excited to have on here Michael Taylor hanging out with us here. Michael, how are you, my friend? I appreciate you coming on.
Fantastic, Andy. Thanks for the opportunity.
Hey, no, absolutely. So here's the big question. Is masculinity the issue in society now? Because we hear that if you drink energy drinks, if you're an adrenaline junkie, if you like to jump out of planes and try to, appeal to women and try and get their attention, as men have really done since the beginning of time, is that the problem now, and is society changing in that sense that is now looked down upon?
Well, if you pay attention to mainstream media, you'll probably conclude that men are the bad guys. We see all these stories, as you mentioned, about sexual assault, infidelity, domestic violence, the Me Too movement, and so forth and so on. We hear this thing about toxic masculinity. So it appears that men are the bad guys. But let me say this. The problem isn't masculinity. The problem is too many of us as men are trapped in what I'll call an antiquated paradigm of masculinity. because the roles of being a man are changing rapidly. And unfortunately, a lot of men aren't keeping up with those changing roles, because if you look at our society for the first time, we have more women in the workforce than men.
Mm-hmm.
We also have more women graduating from college than men. So all the dynamics are changing. And I think men are really tired, hungry, and confused. They're tired of being portrayed in such a negative light. They're frustrated because they're trapped in this antiquated paradigm, and they're hungry. Men are hungry for deep relationships. They're hungry for rewarding and fulfilling careers. They're hungry for dynamic health. They're hungry for a feeling of inner peace and purpose. And unfortunately, a lot of men don't have the tools to have that become a reality. And so a new conversation with men is a tool that supports and empowers men to live what I'm calling an extraordinary life, because despite what you may see in the media, I personally believe there's never been a better time to be alive on the planet than right now.
That is very true, and you make some really excellent points, and you do see it even in culture and pop culture as well. I mean, movies, the action movie that I'm a fan of, The Expendables, Jason Statham and Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the big, guys that have the big guns and the steroids that blow things up, save the damsel in distress, and live happily ever after with the bad guy dead and gone. Those movies aren't necessarily as popular anymore because that promotes that type of mentality, the idea that you go out and you go get the animal and you drag it into the cave and the wife cooks it up, sort of thing. That mindset is gone. So yeah, are we having the conversation with men about how we keep that masculine mindset of the, not necessarily the dominance, but of the hey, it's the duty, the responsibility we feel to take care of the family and to do the thing? Are we losing that? And how do we start blending that kind of mindset, I think our natural instinct that we have, into the new society of today?
But see, and let's go back a little bit. You see, back in 1983, I was living the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
I had the house, the wife, the 2.5 kids, the 401k, the vacations, and by society standards, I was pretty successful. And within about a 6-year time frame, that dream turned into a nightmare as I went through a divorce, bankruptcy, a foreclosure, a deep, deep state of depression. I was homeless for 2 years, living out of a car. And during the darkest period of my life, I asked myself a question. And that question was this: what does it mean to be a man? And as I asked myself that question, I realized that obviously I didn't know, because I had done everything I thought a man was supposed to do to be happy, but I was absolutely miserable. And so as a result of asking myself that question, I went on this amazing journey of transformation. I started reading books. I started going to seminars. I started listening to audio programs. And what I found was, we live in a culture that conditions men to believe there are certain things that we're supposed to do as men. Mm-hmm. But I say we can blow that up and just, as men, get to a point where we learn to be authentic and happy with ourselves. And that's the journey that we should all be on.
That's a journey we should all be on, to evolve from that. I mean, you talk about, as you mentioned, the illusions of manhood, of what we think we're supposed to do versus the masks of masculinity and that transformation. So talk a little bit about that transformation. How can we take that step from what we have been trained and taught that we should do and be to what we can do to fit in with what's going on in the ever-changing world?
Well, real quickly, I think we first have to identify what I call the 5 illusions of manhood. Illusion number 1 is, to be a man, you must be non-emotional and disconnected. Illusion number 2 is, to be a man, you must use sexual conquest as a gauge for manhood. Mm-hmm. Illusion number 3 is, you must have money and material possessions. Illusion number 4, to be a man, you must have titles, positions, and power. And illusion number 5 is, you must constantly compete with and try to outdo other men. And as long as we're trapped in one of those illusions, we'll never really live rewarding and fulfilling lives. So it's really a matter of waking up to these illusions and making changes if necessary.
It's a big step for a lot of them. I mean, I fit into a couple of those categories, not the sexual conquest by any step, but I mean, the competition. I mean, I love competition. I think, and you see a lot of athletes where everything's competitive, everything has to be a challenge, and you have to outdo the person next to you, whether it's on a sporting event field, whether it's in your career, or whether it's just the guy next to you on the bus. That competition's kind of always there, and that's something that I think a lot of guys are going to have a hard time kind of letting go.
Well, again, I don't think it's about competition. I think it's about us as men being willing to be the best that we can be. There's no need to compete against anybody.
Sure.
We have enough of everything for everyone. If a man is willing to do his inner work and define who he is by his own values, then there's no competition. Sure. We just have to be willing to do that inner work to connect with who we truly are.
Talk about the children for this, and let's say the children who don't necessarily get raised by a father and the experience that they go through with now. I mean, we see a lot of different populations where they have the single parents, whether it's just the father or just the mother, not having that influence of the motherly figure, the fatherly figure at all at the same time. The kids that are homeless or go through the adoption process or the foster care program, and how that really goes through their minds and how that changes them to when they get old enough and they try to start their own families. Is that beneficial or not?
But see, I think what has happened is our society has always minimized the importance of fathers and manhood and masculinity. And I believe a man actually has more of an impact on the child's well-being and self-esteem than a woman. But our culture has taught us that, women are the nurturing ones and men are supposed to be the disciplinarians. But as men, we can be just as nurturing, just as loving, just as sensitive as women. But we have to be willing to break out of those old antiquated roles. We must understand that we don't always have to just be the disciplinarian. We can be, once again, the nurturers also. And so when men wake up and decide that, you know what, I'm not going to adhere to some of these antiquated roles. I am going to trust my own heart and understand that, number one, as a parent, the one thing I want to do is love my child unconditionally, provide them with the guidance, the support that they need to become healthy, emotionally healthy adults.
Sure, and that's a hard thing. I mean, I'm right there with you. The first one you mentioned when it comes to men not having emotion, I've always been kind of taught, suck it in, you're fine, just move on from it. And I do that myself, and I do catch myself doing that. We're talking with Michael Taylor, author of the new book, A New Conversation with Men. You mentioned different types of males in your book, the caveman male, the warrior male, the religious male, the scientific male, and the authentic male. Which one of these are good? Which ones are not good? And which ones are okay? And which ones are we mostly at right now?
Well, I think you have to understand it's not one better than the other. It's an evolutionary process. If you look at manhood from the beginning of time, we had the caveman male, and he had a certain set of behaviors, and his primary job was to protect and to provide, okay? That was his job. Protect and provide. And that's something that we still carry on today. We think as men that that's our true responsibility. And so then if you look at history, we went from the caveman male to what we call the warrior male. And once we as human beings gained language and began to communicate, we started interacting differently. Now, unfortunately, a lot of times as men and warriors, if you looked different than me, my job was to protect my family, so I tried to kill you because you weren't like me. And then we evolved from the warrior male to what's called the religious male, and we had certain spiritual figures that came out and taught us new ways of interacting without having to kill each other, recognizing that we really are all the same as human beings. And then we evolved from the religious male to what we call the scientific male, when we started gaining the knowledge and technology. But then we kind of got stuck, I think, at that technology phase. But what's happening now, I believe, is we're still evolving, and we're evolving to what I call the authentic male. And this is a man who has connected with his authentic self. He's not afraid to be in touch with his emotions. He understands the importance of being connected to his emotions. He has a sense of passion and purpose in his life, and he doesn't buy into all the antiquated roles of old masculinity. So what we're evolving to, I believe, is the authentic male, and that's why I'm so optimistic about the future.
Mm-hmm. And when we get to that point, the social norms that we see today, the Me Too movement, the assault cases, that the accusations, as you mentioned, the negative message that society is really portraying against men, is that going to be able to repair itself, or what do we have to do as we become that authentic male and begin to evolve and we continue to grow? How do we get rid of that stigma that is, guys are bad because of X, Y, and Z, and they're ultra masculine and so on and so forth? Where do we start working to get rid of that message?
Well, when we begin doing our work and become authentic males, if you will, then we no longer have issues of the Me Too movement and sexual assaults, because a emotionally authentic male would never participate in those types of behaviors. So the key is to engage men in this new conversation, because our culture, we put a lot of shame and guilt on men as though we're bad. Men aren't bad. There are some men that exhibit some toxic behaviors, if you will, but ultimately, masculinity isn't toxic. Mm-hmm. Men aren't toxic. There are some men, again, that are separated from who they really are, and that's why they act out in negative ways. So by having conversations like this, we engage men in this new dialogue, and we allow men the opportunity to really get real, to be authentic. And that's something that's really difficult for a lot of men, once again, because of the current masculine culture that we live in. But what I see is for the first time, well, not for the first time, but over the last several years, I've seen an increase of men having these types of conversations, and it's really exciting for me to be a part of that conversation.
Absolutely. We got about a minute and a half left here before we let you go. Michael Taylor, author of the book, A New Conversation with Men. As we come out of like the Easter weekend and many people using religion and the spirituality side of this as well, and that's included in here in the book as well, how much of that do you think plays into the evolution of the man into becoming that authentic man, becoming better in learning what's right and what's wrong? I mean, is the spiritual, religious side of that an important aspect to growing as well?
Well, it is my belief that there is a power greater than myself that I'm connected to. Now, that power goes by a lot of different names. You can call it God, you can call it Great Spirit, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But I believe that as men, when we do our inner work and we connect to this energy and intelligence that created this universe, what I call the source, when we connect to that, it guides us to do, or shall I say, it becomes our moral compass. It allows us to understand compassion and sensitivity and kindness. And that's what's missing for a lot of men. We don't have that spiritual connection. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean anything about organized religious dogma and doctrine.
Sure.
It's about connecting to your authentic self.
Being able to grow yourself each and every day, and that's what it's all about. I love it. Michael Taylor, author of the book, A New Conversation with Men. Very interesting, especially with an issue like this that I don't think it's going to go away for a while with the pop culture. Michael, I really appreciate you coming on the show, my friend. Really great stuff. We'd love to get you back on here a little bit later as well.
And Andy, any man that's ready to start that conversation, they can actually get a free copy of the book on my website, A New Conversation with Men. Just go to the website to get a free copy.
I love it. A New Conversation with Men, a free copy. Make sure to go out and get it. We got one here. We'll give away here on the air as well. Michael, I appreciate that very much. Got to take a bottom of the hour break. Your phone calls when we come back. We'll do our recap of this conversation. Really great stuff there. We'll also get into the trip to Colorado, the experiment and the investigative research that happened out there and all that good jazz. Your phone calls when we come back as well. Stay here.
The latest news from the Big Talker, KQAM.
Muslim leaders in Sri Lanka say they gave repeated warnings to officials about the leader of an extremist group now blamed for the Easter bombings but received no response. More than 320 people died in Sunday's attack. Today, Michael Toscano reports, is yet another deadline set for President Trump to turn over certain financial data.
Today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time is the deadline set by House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Richard Neal for the Internal Revenue Service to respond to his second request to provide President Trump's personal and business tax returns for the years 2013 to 2018. The previous deadline of April 10th was not met.
Buckingham Palace says President Trump and wife Melania will pay a state visit to Britain in June as a guest of Queen Elizabeth II. President Trump says Herman Cain has withdrawn from consideration for a seat on the Federal Reserve Board amid a focus on past scandals. I'm John Trout.
911, what's your emergency?
This car, an SUV, it was going across, it went around the barrier, and the train. Oh, God.
Ma'am, did a train hit an SUV? Is that what happened?
Yes, the train is still going. The train is going, and the car, I can't believe it.
You can't judge the speed of an approaching train. That's why the signals are there. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
The Home Depot's making it easy to turn your favorite moment into the perfect color for any room with the Project Color app. Upload any image, then discover the colors and paint to match. Now you're a swipe and a click closer to everything you need for your next project. Explore the most popular colors and trending palettes to find your perfect paint. Get a colorful new experience with the Project Color app, then shop our best brands with gallons starting from just $25.97 at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only. See store for details.
Kansas Mid-America Network News. Good Tuesday. The Reno County Sheriff's Office arrested the Bushton police chief on Friday. KWCH-TV reports that deputies arrested Chief Bryan Treaster for stalking and violation of a protection order. Treaster appeared in court for the first time yesterday to hear the official charges against him. He remained in custody as of yesterday afternoon. The pastor of a Wichita church that has been repeatedly vandalized says she believes her congregation is being targeted because it is welcoming of people who are gay, lesbian, and transgender. KSNW-TV reports that the Table of Hope pastor in Wichita, Jackie Carter, says she started crying yesterday morning when she found 16 windows cracked, shattered, and broken on the church. And Kansas weather forecasters say cooler temperatures today and tomorrow before a warm-up for week's end. Mid-American Network News.
At Starseed, our sudden service, dependability, and exceptional product quality are what set us apart from the competition. We offer a lineup of high-performance forages that deliver outstanding tonnage with superior digestibility. Don't miss out this season. Try one of our premium forage varieties. Call Starseed today at 800-782-7311 or visit our website at gostarseed.com for all your seed needs.
Now this important message from Continental Truck Accessories at 6701 South Broadway.
Hi, I'm Bob Shippers.
And I'm Terry Mishak. We're the owners of Continental Truck Accessories.
Stop by our showroom at 6701 South Broadway and we'll help you customize your truck or SUV. Choose from a large selection of floor mats, toppers, lids, bed covers, Nerf bars, grill guards, and other accessories. Continental Truck Accessories is the exclusive Wichita dealer for guarded spray-on bed liners.
Show your truck all the love it will ever need from Continental Truck Accessories.
Coming spring 2019.
Hail.
Ouch. Oh.
Wind. Freezing temperatures. Tornadoes. That's mayhem.
Hi, I'm Mark Collier, your local Allstate agent. We're your insurance agency interested in doing what's best for you. Before mayhem strikes, call us at our Goddard office, 316-413-4014, and find us on Facebook at Collier Allstate. Are you in good hands?
Here's your latest forecast on the Big Talker KQAM for this morning. Sunny and 67, winds near 25 miles an hour, clear and 45 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny up to 78, winds again near 25 miles an hour, mostly clear and 56 for Saturday night, winds up to 20 miles an hour. I'm Amp Harrell, and that's your latest forecast on Wichita's big station, the Big Talker AM 1480 and 102.5 FM KQAM.
At 8:35, it's currently 53 degrees.
We make talk radio big. This is the Big Talker, 1480 AM and 102.5 FM, KQAM. Making Kansas great again.
A new tide of optimism was already sweeping across our land. Each day since, we have gone forward with a clear vision and a righteous mission to make America great again for all Americans.
This is The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome into The Voice of Reason. Great to have you along for the ride. This portion of The Voice of Reason is brought to you by Wildwood Cellars. It's more than just buying a bottle of wine, but you can try it before you buy it. You can learn about the tips about finding the wine that you like, not the wine you're just supposed to like. They have all different kinds, the types, flavors, varieties, the meads, the sweets, the dries, the sangrias, the strawberry and chocolate and all that good jazz. It's Wildwood Cellars. They got plenty of options for you right here in Kansas. Right here. It's awesome. It is the experience you've been looking for. Let's put it that way. The nationally acclaimed vineyards right here in Kansas, off the Turnpike in Mulvana, right here in Wichita, Maple, and Ridge as well. Online at wildwoodsellars.com. Again, wildwoodsellars.com. What a fun show it's been so far coming back after the trip to Colorado and the Easter weekend and everything. Thanks again to Jim Price, host of the Jim Price Show, for filling in yesterday. Did a great job for the little bit that I did get to hear, and we appreciate that very much. Your phone calls at 316-721-8255 on the Shocker Pool hotlines. I want to hear from you. I do want to recap it just a little bit because there are some interesting tidbits. If you watched it, I did do a Facebook Live video on Friday when we got into Denver. And I promised I would. There was a lot of individuals saying that we should do something with this, so I did. And I wanted to learn about how the marijuana industry is affecting Colorado, good, bad, or indifferent, the positives, the negatives, all across. First off, I thought it was really interesting that the city of Wichita and just outside of Wichita, as we got on the highway and was heading up towards Newton in that area, going up to I-70, and the big signs that were saying, drive high, get a DUI, that they were getting prepared for the 420 weekend why that was going on here in Kansas. Now, if it's illegal already, do you really need to have signs like that? I thought that was really interesting. I did not expect Kansas and Wichita to have signs saying drive high, get a DUI. I did not really. And then I heard that they did checkpoints, actual like drug checkpoints, to check to see if you were either, intoxicated with drugs or alcohol when you were driving on 420, and they had checkpoints all around town. So I thought that was absolutely fascinating. That wasn't even in Colorado. That was right here. So that was the first thing. Wow, I guess people really do take this thing seriously. So then I got there, and we did the video, and we were outside this dispensary, and I don't even remember the name of it, but I was outside of it, and it was so full. It was packed. I mean, it was 420 weekend. People were going and getting their stuff ready for the big festivals they had going on the weekend. It was craziness. There are so many people driving in and out of it, and I tell you, you want to talk about like the groups of individuals, the styles of people that were going into this thing. I mean, there were people in suits, there were people in shorts, there were people that looked like they just rolled out of the dumpster. I mean, there were just everybody was there. So we did the video, and I mentioned that I was going to go in and do some investigative research. So obviously, I'm not into it. I didn't buy anything, didn't have any interest in buying anything, but I wanted to learn. I wanted to understand and see if the economy is doing well, if this is the way to do it, and if this is a safe way to do this as we begin doing the transition in many states to go towards the legalization of medical or recreational. So I walked in, and it's very interesting how they have stuff set up. I walked up, and there was, as soon as you walked in, there was a row of chairs, and people are sitting there, and there was a desk off in the corner. They said, "Can we help you?" And you go up and you say, "Yeah, I'm here." And they say, "Okay, do you have your driver's license?" And apparently I was wrong. I didn't think you could buy stuff from out of state if you had an out-of-state ID, but apparently you can, because they were calling people back and they had their ID. So you give them your ID, and you sit there and wait, and then when the sales rep, when the salesperson's done, they'll come around to the front desk, they'll grab the next ID, they'll call you, and then they go back into the room. And there was a couple that called out from Arizona and from New Mexico, so there were people from all over. So apparently you can buy stuff from out of state. Did not know that fact. So I was going to record. I was going to put the phone on record and record the audio and then be able to play some of it back. I was not able to because it was so loud in there that I couldn't hear anything. I tried it, and it just didn't work. There was, of course, it had to be really loud reggae music, so very appropriate for the time. But it was just people talking and just a loud noises and stuff going on. So, but they have the actual place where you see the product in another room. You had the waiting room that was right there by the front door. And then when they call you back, the salesperson has the ID. They take you, you punch in the code to a locked door, and then you walk into this locked room. And they have these different stations set up, the 3 different glass stations, the desks, and you go up to one of them, and there's a salesperson at each one, the one that brought you in there, and they say, "All right, you're at this one," and they go around back and like, "What can we?" And I loved it. Their phrase was, "How can I get you high today?" Not "How are you doing?" or "What can I do for you?" "How can we get you high today?" So well done. Yeah, great marketing on that one. I did chuckle at that every time I heard someone go back to and say, "Hi, how can I get you high today?" Like, great, thanks. So well, I walk back there. And there are so many products. So many products. I mean, from the actual, like, buds to, like, the candy bars. They had, like, the syringes, not like syringe to inject yourself, but a syringe to, like, put it on food or to mix it into your, like, batter for cookies and brownies and stuff. Oh, yeah. It's all there. It's all there. And then they had the actual foods as well that you could get. And they're like, "What do you want? How can we get you high today?" And I told them, I said, first off, I don't necessarily want to buy anything, but I want to just see. I said, "I've never been in a shop like this before." And they got all excited. "Oh, yeah, let me tell you all about the products." And they talked about the flavors and the strands. And this one will get you really relaxed and calm. And this one will get you really uppity and excited. And this will, be able to give you some energy. And this one makes you feel better. And here's the lotions. And she said, you can smoke it, you can rub it, you can inject it, you can eat it, you can lotion it up, you can take a bath in it, whatever you want. We have just about anything for you. And I just sat back and I said, wow, this is a whole new experience. And I said, well, I looked through the stuff and I asked her some questions and I said thanks, and I left. And I tell you, by the time I left, I think she was a little annoyed because they were extremely busy and I didn't buy anything. So I think she was a little annoyed there. But I was curious, and it was a very interesting experience. Now, here's the pros and cons that I see from all this as we talk about this industry and this thing going into the state of Kansas. First off, the way it's done, I think is very interesting. And I think if you're going to do it in a safe way, the way you are dealing with a substance, then they do a very good job with that, with how they're actually handling it. Because what you do is, I was watching them as they purchase the product, then they go to another table off in the corner in that same room, and they give a receipt to somebody who then goes back with the refrigerators and stuff in another room and grabs all the stuff, puts it in the bag, and say, all right, here you go. Off about your business. So it's really wild. Now, the prices were obviously kind of expensive because they tax the crap out of it, so they get their tax revenue. But it was a very interesting process. And I got to say, I'm actually impressed by the way they actually handle the dispensaries themselves. It's just, to me, then what we did was we drove out of that and we started heading up the mountain to go visit the family and do their thing. And as we drove, then we saw the economy around it. And as that is flourishing and people are just driving to the groves, just going to these stores, everything else is slow moving. And as we talked about a little bit with Bryan Frye, and I mentioned this, is you drive by and you see the homeless in Denver, which is out of control. You see the tent communities. You talk about the tent community in California, the thousands of tents, people living in tents on the side of the street. That's happening in Denver. They have their tent community. The news story, when you sit down and you watch the afternoon news, is Denver City Council discusses what to do with government housing. Now, let me ask you, is government housing going to fix the issue? Because real estate is so expensive there that you're going to have government housing subsidized by taxpayers that's not going to be very good quality. You put a bunch of homeless people in there, and do you really think that's going to help the situation for people in any way, shape, or form? I mean, other than just having a roof over their head, I guess. But the quality, we're going to grow. I mean, they're expanding far and far and farther outside of the city, and they're growing exponentially. You go up into the mountains where the little tiny town that I grew up in, I did not recognize a single person driving up to the gas station that used to be the cool hangout place. I mean, you walked there and you just fill up in gas and you talk to every single person there because you knew them. It was a small town. I went there. It was jam-packed. I knew nobody there. Crazy. Now, granted, I've been away for a few years, but nobody there that I recognized. New people. They expanded. Really, 45 minutes out of Denver up in the mountains is now the suburb of Denver. Think about that for a second. The dispensaries are all the way up there. The new people coming for that industry is up there. And the real estate has boomed so badly that now the homeless population has tripled. Drug addiction is out of control in Denver. All the money that they're getting from the revenues from the taxes of the marijuana is now being spent on rehabilitation in Denver, which is a crazy thing, a crazy thought to have. And now we're talking about spending more money in Denver and Colorado to fund more government housing to put people up, because they have a serious housing issue with homeless people all over the place because they cannot afford it. They cannot afford to buy a home, nor can they afford to actually live in Colorado any longer. I've never seen it before. I've never seen this issue before. Now what they're doing is they're taking it to another step as well, because people that now do not, by the way, can pass drug tests to actually get jobs are part of the homeless population. Did you hear? I don't know if you've seen this, if this is a national story or not, but on the local news out there, you know what the big story is? The Colorado legislation they're working on in Colorado. They're working on it to make it mandatory that businesses cannot do drug tests in order to make their decision whether to hire or fire somebody. They cannot do a drug test to hire somebody because too many people have it in their system, and therefore everybody's failing drug tests and cannot get a job. So now they're forcing businesses, except for certain jobs like law enforcement and some others where your life could potentially be in jeopardy, they're forcing businesses to say you're not allowed to drug test your employees if you're hiring somebody else. You're hiring somebody new. Cannot do a drug test. That's crazy. That's crazy. And it's, of course, because they don't know how to regulate it. They don't know if you're doing it in the evening, if it's still in your system when you wake up in the morning to go to work and you just tested from what you did last night, if it's from you doing it literally the minute before you walked into your business when you were doing it out in your car. They don't know how to regulate this, and now the homeless population's so high because people cannot afford to live there, nor can they get jobs. There are jobs desperately needed in Colorado all over the place, and no one can hire them because everybody's failing drug tests. So now the new legislation, unless it's actually exempted, which they have the few exemptions for law enforcement and other things, that businesses, private businesses that should have the choice to decide who's going to be working for their company and representing their company, are not allowed to actually drug test when they hire somebody new. And that legislation is being worked in the state legislature in Colorado. You want to talk about the rights and the liberties and the freedoms and everything, and I get it, and I like that argument, and I like that discussion. but it's done a lot of crazy stuff in Colorado. It's a whole new world. It's something that I did not anticipate in Colorado. It's nothing that I'm used to because I left as that stuff was getting bad, and I said I don't want part of it, which is why I came out to Kansas here. And it's very fascinating to watch how it's changed and evolved over the last couple of years. Your thoughts? Agree, disagree? I'd love to hear from you. And your thoughts, have you been to some of these things, and have you seen the dispensaries, and is it what you anticipated or what you like out of it? And then, of course, it probably makes sense then, too. And if you are watching the YouTube, it's probably making sense, too, why I was given this from my brother. If you're not watching, my brother gave me, he bought a house. You want to talk about real estate? He's got a house smaller than mine that's worth, the value of it there supposedly is about 4 times the amount that I spent on my house, which is crazy. But anyways, he bought a house, him and his fiance, and they were moving in, and the owners, the previous owners, had left this in their house, and he's like, I don't know what to do with it, and he gave it to me to give to my little one, as she loves unicorns. I thought it was beautiful to have in the studio, so I brought it in here. But it is a gnome holding a firearm, like a garden gnome. It's a little statue, a little thing that you put on your dresser, and like, oh, that's really cute, a little pretty thing. It's a gnome holding a firearm with a cat sitting next to him, riding a white unicorn that has rainbow purple-colored mane, and then the horn, actually, and this, I did not put this on here, it was actually on there when he gave it to me, an American flag sticking out of the horn of the unicorn. So it's a cat-holding, gun-toting gnome riding a rainbow white unicorn with an American flag sticking off the horn. I don't know how that is like decoration, and that really makes sense with what's going on in Colorado, but I thought it was cool, and we're going to put it in the studio here because why the hell not? So we're going to have a new prop here in the KQAM studios. 316-721-8255. Let's go to the phones here, shall we? Line number 1. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning, Andy. It's Nick.
Nick, what's going on, sir? How we doing?
Well, welcome back, sir. Good to have you back.
Hey, thank you. Happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter to you. Maybe the gnome is a hoodwinked police officer riding on a problem that does not exist while bearing the American flag, shooting at little innocent people who want to grow a garden while worshiping some cat or something. I don't know. But
there we go.
Federal prohibition has caused a lot of these problems in Colorado. A lot of the New York City and other places are stopping the drug test because they know that there is a bias against cannabis consumers because cannabis stays in your system for 30 days, whereas methamphetamine or crack cocaine gets out in 24 to 72 hours. So there's automatic bias there. K-State just had a study out saying that the sky is not falling with the car accidents, that the fatalities is not really an issue with this substance. And whether or not we're glorifying or vilifying certain substances, and this is kind of a shameless plug, I don't really have any affiliation with it, but on April 29th and April 30th, you can go to Kingdom Men Rising at the Regal Warren Theater West and East at 7 p.m. It's a documentary film exploring what it means to be a real man in the midst of cultural trends in which there is confusion about masculinity. So I thought I'd say that. Some of the taxes that are going for all-day kindergarten and stuff like that, but when it comes down to, when we boil it down and we get to the bone of the thing, it comes back to the equity of our conservative principles. And either you're going to say that there should be a system like Colorado has, or there should be canines running around gobbling up as many low-level consumers as they can. Whether or not they end up in jail, they're maybe not, but they're still being harassed and detained and searched for possession of a green leafy substance that we have discussed has therapeutic value and full protein profiles.
Now, let me ask you, because the first thing you mentioned, and you're right, I mean, from the philosophical level, I do agree, and we've gone down that road many times, but let me ask you, I mean, with what's been done in Colorado, well, maybe it is just because it's the sensationalism of that's one of the most outward states that have done this, so everybody's driving there. Is this going to burst that bubble if other states begin to do this? I mean, have they overexpanded? Will we see the bubble burst, which the economy does quite a bit in Colorado, the real estate bubble that's going to completely implode when other states are doing this, and people stop going to Colorado for that one way or another? And I mean, I don't like the government telling the business what they can and cannot do. I get the fact that, you know, if you did it the night prior to and you're still in your system and there is a quote-unquote bias against individuals in that sense, but the fact that government's got to say we need to force the business who they can and cannot hire, and they cannot drug test somebody because they have marijuana in their system, that to me, that is a blatant, total violation of a private business being able to decide who they can and cannot fire, and what if they want someone that they know is under the influence, or know that they're not under the influence, or some way, shape, or form. I don't know. To me, that's a huge violation.
Well, I'm a capitalist in the fact that I sell fried chicken. I have my recipe, but you're allowed to make your own fried chicken at home.
Sure.
So the bubble bursting, I could care less. If it's a money thing or you're going to lose money in the stock market, that's not my problem.
Well, not the stock market, but someone that's built. I mean, for example, let's use my in-laws for an example. They have a home that they've built, and they've improved, and they've upgraded, and they've expanded, and they've added to it, and they've done great stuff to it. It's now potentially could be worth close to $400,000 to $500,000 when they bought it, 20 years ago at $100,000. If the bubble bursts and they go backwards on that real estate because of the economy bursting and not many people buying, and now we've built too many homes and overexpanded, that has now killed just about every homeowner in the state of Colorado and the value of their homes. I'm not okay with that. I warned. I said that was going to happen too. I know that's going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of when, not if.
That's a possibility, but you still see really good alcohol sales everywhere in the nation, even though we can make our own alcohol in certain situations, because people don't want to do it. They like the convenience of buying it, and plus the marketing campaigns, whether it's a packaging or whether it's different strains or whatever the case may be. People like that, and that's kind of what our nation is built on. Yes, it's kind of like the dot-com bubble. There's going to be some that fall off, but I don't think it's going to be a catastrophe like legalizing, like people thought legalizing it or repealing prohibition would be in the first place.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Nick, I appreciate it. We got to take some other calls and take a break here, but it's an interesting discussion, and it's had some pros and cons. And look, it definitely has had some pros for sure, the state of Colorado. And I got to give props to the way they actually do the dispensaries and go about purchasing the stuff and making sure it's secure, making sure it's safe, making sure everything's all hunky-dory. There's a lot of them down there, and it's just fascinating to watch that process. The surrounding environments, though, I think have taken a big hit. That little town of Bailey that I grew up in, they stopped one of the massive warehouses they wanted to put up there, close to a 10 to 12,000 square foot warehouse that used to be woodworking, TJ Woodworks products that used to be up there that they used to work and used to build homes and create the wood for home building and that sort of thing. They left. They wanted to buy it and make it a warehouse, and the community said, that's not flying. We're not going to do that. We don't like that around here. We don't want it, and they stopped it. And I give them props for that because they didn't want that around the community. So it's up to the communities to decide that, but I tell you what, it's everywhere, and it's going to have an impact, positive or negative. It's definitely changing the state. We'll take some more phone calls when we come back. Got to take a break. 5 minutes at the top of the hour. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Mixing the livestock, mixing the grains and soybeans. We're going to start Tuesday that way. Let's check the ag futures markets. Brady Charles at Schwederman Incorporated has the information. Good morning, Brady.
Good morning. Yeah, a little bit of a mixed open here today with the row crops trading lower, wheat trading mixed, and livestock trading mixed to now mostly lower. April live cattle are down 2 cents at 128.47. June down 12 at 121.47. August down 12 at 118.65. May feeders are back up a nickel at 150.85. August up a dime at 159.70. September up a nickel at 160.82. June lean hogs down 130 at 92.45. In the grain markets, May Kansas City wheat's down 1 1/4 at 410.5. July down a penny at 417. September up a quarter at 427 3/4. In the corn market, May is down 1 3/4 at 353. July down 1 1/2 at 362. September down 1 1/4 at 369 3/4. May beans down 3 1/4 at 873 3/4. July down 3 1/4 at 887.5. November down 2 1/2 at 907 1/4. May bean oils down 17 at 28.53. The meal is down a dime at 302.40. Oats up 2 at 295. Cotton down 59 at 76.60. This has been Brady Charles from Schwederman Incorporated. For questions on these markets, any other markets, and all your marketing needs, please give us a call at 800-272-9131 or visit us online at upthelimit.com.
Farmers looking for a perfect seed bed are turning to the new TurboMax vertical tillage tool from Great Plains. This is Leroy the Tractor Man from Schmidt & Sons to tell you a little bit about this impressive tool. What defines an effective, true vertical tillage tool? The hydraulic gang angle adjustment allows the TurboMax to aggressively level the seed bed and remove weeds, while its 3 3/4 inch overall blade spacing cuts and sizes residue without creating compaction. In the spring, keep the gangs straight and create a level, vertical tilled seed bed that is perfect for planting. In the fall, run the machine with gangs at an angle to bury more residue. The new Great Plains TurboMax can run at high speeds and size residue without ridging. It allows the operator to hydraulically adjust the gang angles to deliver the desired residue coverage. Come in and see us at Schmidt & Sons to learn more about the Great Plains TurboMax vertical till. Find us on the web at schmittinc.com. Harvest starts here.
Turning on the charm with a tractor in each arm. Down at Schmidt & Sons.
Here's some simple math for you. Chevy cars and trucks just cost less at Countryside Motors in Wellington. You want the best price on a Silverado in Kansas or Oklahoma? Check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Are you looking for that perfect SUV? They have the great selection of Buick Enclaves, Envisions, and Encores, again, at the best prices anywhere. Countryside Motors in Wellington. Folks, it's simple math. For the best prices on cars and trucks, check out Countryside Motors in Wellington. Online at countrysidemotors.net. Simple math. Best prices. Come on out to the country and save. Countryside Motors in Wellington, Kansas. Bang, bang. Let's sneak in one more phone call as we wrap up today. My perspective and observances as we did the Easter weekend traveling. It was a great time. We got about 30 seconds here. Let's go back to the phones. Line number 2. Good morning. Who's this?
Oh, great.
Hey, good morning, sir. How we doing?
Hey, Eddie. Look, I've been to Colorado. I have Tourette's. A equal amount of the THC and CBD stops my Tourette's, my OCD. It clears my mind. It makes me able to think without getting me high. I don't want to get high. I don't want to smoke it.
Sure.
I don't want that. But it is good. Our own government's been putting out propaganda about this for many years. I am not a conspiracy theorist, but there is some serious over this to keep it illegal, because it would hurt several major industries, especially if we start growing hemp.
Sure.
They're afraid we're going to start.
Sure. No, you're right. I hate to cut you off. We're out of time here, but no, you're right. There has been a stigma that's been presented to us against it. We'll do that more when we come back tomorrow. Have a great day.
This is a Steckline Communication Station, K273CX, FM 102.5, and AM 1480 KQAM. Wichita proud. It's time for your latest news from the KQAM News Center. Brought to you by Continental Truck Accessories, 6701 South Broadway. Show your truck some love with Continental Truck Accessories.
Good Tuesday morning. Wichita police have made an arrest in the stabbing death of a man in southeast Wichita over the weekend. 53-year-old Keith Thurman was lodged into the Sedgwick County Jail on one count alleging second-degree murder yesterday. Police believe Thurman fatally stabbed 62-year-old Albert Thomas early Sunday. According to police, Thurman and Thomas got into an argument at a home near Pawnee and Hillside around 3 o'clock Sunday morning, and Thurman stabbed Thomas multiple times. Thomas died at the scene. The Oklahoma Medical Examiner says remains found April 12th in Caw City, Oklahoma are those of 20-year-old Ark City resident Quentin Roush, reported missing in May of last year. The Courier Traveler says human bones were found in a heavily wooded area behind a residential area in Caw City. KWCH-TV reports that the Cowley County News Cow reported last week that friends of Roush said the found remains were those of the missing 20-year-old. Police say that Roush was last seen in Ponca City and was reported missing May 8th of last year. I'm Rick Everett. Now sports.
The Kansas basketball team got some good news last night as Azubuike has decided not to enter the NBA draft and return to Kansas for a senior season. Azubuike was injured during the